All right. Now you can continue arguing.
Oh, we're live?
All right. This is the new night we're going to be on. This is the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. This is actually going to be the Secret Sunday 12 Puzzles podcast from now on.
All right.
We'll be on Sundays exclusively because that's apparently the easiest night for everybody. I'm Eric. We have Mark, Douglas, and Chuck, and we're back. The 1 year anniversary falls back on St. Augustine where we started. Beautiful. How you guys doing?
Great.
Doing great.
Fantastic.
We'll wait till some people jump in on the comments, and then we'll answer any questions anybody has.
How your Jaguars doing?
Oh, they suck today, man. That really bothered me.
Okay, next question.
The one thing I'd like to point out, you may have pointed out before, and I think this is my personal opinion, and hopefully it's most everybody else's, that you don't dig without a permit, particularly around here. I checked out today whether you can dig in a city park, and you can't even dig in a city park down there without a permit.
Permit?
You can dig up to 3 inches. That?
But you're subject to fines and arrest.
That's right.
And I mean, if you really
you're Chuck, so was Byron.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what are you going to do if you dig illegally and you find it? Oh, this is where I found it. Where's your permit?
Oh, you got to lie.
It's like moonshining. They have to catch you in the act. If you have a still and all the stuff and you're driving down the road, they can't do anything about that.
It was easy for Byron. It only took him probably a couple minutes to bury it, but
it was different time.
You call up Josh and he makes up the rest, so it's all good. You don't need the real park.
It was different time back then.
I understand that, but you got to take. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I'm never going to tell you where and admit to digging somewhere, but I have dug holes. You're going to have to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Now, in Charleston, as an example, I negotiated with the Patriots Points folks to go in there.
Right.
So that's a must because there's a guard tower literally, 20 feet. That's 24/7. It's at the pier. And I will tell you, if anybody wants to go and try that without doing that, you will get thrown in jail very fast because they watch that area. They feel like it's almost feels like it's an active military installation is the way they approach it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
it was like that when Byron was in Charleston too.
But a lot of these places, like I've been out in California, as you guys know, poking around there, and a lot of these places are abandoned. There's no one there. Von Briesen Park it's a dog park. There's nothing in there. There's no bathrooms. There's nothing. So I'm just saying, I'm not encouraging people break the law, but you got to balance if we're going to get these things out of ground. If they're still there, you're going to have to take some chances.
That's a good point. We're looking for public parks.
Chances.
Byron was a Boy Scout. He didn't drink, smoke. He didn't curse, and he's not breaking into anybody's private property. So Elizabethan Gardens, Fountain of Youth, all these places are out because they're private property. Right. There's no jumping fences in the middle of the night. And it's all the legality of the secret. So when Byron, Bantam Books is who published his book, there's a legal side of this for Byron. They're like, hey, where'd you bury these?
Yeah.
He had to mitigate.
He couldn't go on the private property and bury these. They'd say, hey, man, you're going to get sued.
Well,
and look, he knew.
And the book even tells you parts. Yeah, he said an interview
doing this.
He was. This is something behind the scenes, but nobody, me and a few other people know about it, but someone's actually doing some work on that. So
on what?
I won't say the legal side of him doing this treasure hunt book, and we'll see what comes of that. But that's all I can say.
Again, in 1980, Chuck, and you're right, and this is so true. Like when you look back at old pictures and stuff in some of these areas that we're looking at, it was wild, baby. There's no cameras. There's no phone cameras.
Right.
There's, no one cared that you disturbed a blade of grass.
Well, they did because he went in disguise and had lookouts. So Byron, that I don't know if I talked about on the last podcast. There was an interview Byron did, and he said at one dig spot he was at, the dogs alerted people to his presence. And he said at another dig spot, he had to hide in a pile of leaves to avoid a police officer. And Byron says, if you want to think I'm alluding to a couple locations, he said that's up to the reader. But I think he said that because he's basically saying, yeah, the cops came at one spot.
Eric,
hinting he's close to police, and dogs barking means he park right off a neighborhood, maybe. I mean,
so Eric, this is a very important point. This is a big picture thing when you're trying to handicap this, right? Because that's all this is one big handicapping exercise. Because there's information we don't know, we will never know. So you're handicapping. You're trying to say, well, what are the odds? Is an 80% chance, 100%, 70%? He's not going to be in a very open spot. For that reason, he's looking for cover, places he can duck into if needed. So if you're in a spot and you think a box is like in some wide open place or whatever, it's probably not. Or even next to some monument where there's no brush, there's no cover. Look at the spots where he was, I think the baseball one, but that's sort of sunken down. He could have been there. Who knows? But, in Chicago, it's kind of wooded there. It's a little hard to see around. Certainly Cleveland, there was plenty of cover. Sure. So if you're in an open spot where there's no place for him to duck, or he's got to carry his gear like a half mile to get this thing buried, it's not happening. No, he's going to be somewhere where you can park close, get away fast, or go to the car if he needs to. And so parking lots
it would be so easy to bury these compared to digging them up. That's he said in an interview that some of them may never be found.
Yeah.
And I think, when you take account the depth and the square footage and how much the Chicago guys had to dig alone.
Yes.
Like there's got to be a fine-tune pinpoint area for you to search, so you're just not going all over the place, digging holes all over the place. That would actually just make no sense if you come to a park that's, how big are most parks? A couple thousand square feet. You're gonna, and you go, well, this is a marker that got me here from the book, and I found this in the book, and I found this in the book, but then there's some kind of, I think this has got part of why you always see all the triangles in it. It's like triangulating something.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a center point, then the time, and then direction. I mean, there's so much stuff in this book that people are missing. The colors. I made 2 posts about that. About when you look at the Roanoke paint, when you look at the Spanish St. Augustine painting, you see the colors of the Spanish flag in the painting. These techniques are not used in all 12. He'll use like currency in a few of them, with the $5 bill in Lincoln, the $2 bill in Jefferson, and what presidents he's using based on what denomination they're on. Some presidents aren't. Then he's using colors of particular flags. Like if you look at Chicago, which is Scottish, you'll see the orange, the white, the green, and the blue of the Scottish flag are all in that painting.
Well, I think
the gold, the oranges of the Spanish flag, and then the flag's got a little crown emblem that has a bunch of other different colors in it, but they all are represented in the painting. And it would just be a simple to go, okay, Spanish flag. There's the colors in that one painting that don't exist in the others.
Well, there's also some other, and I enhanced this image to mark all the area, to surround all the areas that are blue, and the big structure in the middle is made up of 2 sections. One section has a lot of the little stones, which I equate as the coquina stones.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have blue on them, and some don't. And I believe there's a reason for that. That blue represents water. And if you look at the original situation, the island, Conch Island, was an island. These are all depth markings here. And Bird Island is connected here. This is all connected now. This is no longer, Conch Island is really not an island.
Where's that at, Chuck? Like in relation to St. Aug, where's that at?
This is the lighthouse. This town or city is over in here. Basically, the channel is here. You came in here and you went around here.
Yeah, that's called Salt Run. That was the original inlet.
This is Salt Run, exactly. And so
and for anybody that's been there, the inlet came right through the parking lot of Anastasia Island when you get out to the beach.
So what I believe is that a lot of this area where there was coquina, that stone, what we're seeing was covered by water. That's why this is all blue. Here's today. Here's the Conch Island and Bird Island's down this way, but it's all connected. And here's the inlet, and here's the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And water's in the verse. And you notice in the painting, if you really look at it closely, the water on that back side is basically it's flowing down. It's almost like a waterfall.
I want to caution you guys that, he's presenting it this way. Does this image need to be inverted? Does it need to be turned upside down?
No.
I don't have a good answer to that, but I just think that's something that we need to explore and vet. Even though the painting, with the horsemen and all that, it looks like we should be looking at it as presented. But even JJP has said, hey, I do these inversions and flips and all this other stuff.
Yeah, we know that's the case for St. Augustine, and you can also do that for Cleveland.
Even if it's inverted, it shouldn't really change where it's at.
One structure, it can be easily divided into the blue and the not blue. And you can see there's two different structures. This one over here is shorter. If this is representing the lighthouse started out as a watchtower. It started out as a watchtower, and then it became a lighthouse, the first lighthouse. And you can see that on here. That's the original. And it was shorter than what it is today. This one was, and so initially it was wooden. It wasn't the coquina. There's only two structures that they used that stone for. One was the fort, and the other was for the lighthouse. So I think this is
and then the fort also has watchtowers on the corners.
What's the top of the watchtower? What's the top of a lighthouse back there? Was a watchkeeper, a guy at the top looking out. What is this guy doing up at the top? He's looking outward. He is watching outward.
Yep.
The other thing, let me just tell this real quick.
All right.
People haven't been able to figure out this flag as far as I know. But what do you think that flag really is? And I got a picture of it. What I think it is.
It's A1A.
It is.
It's right there.
Right here. At the top of sailboats, streamers. That's a streamer. And it's at the top of the sailboat. Where is it in the art? It's at the top. What he's telling us is that's a lighthouse. That structure is representing the lighthouse. And that's the lookout. So, and this is the theme is Spanish immigration. They came in sails. It's also about sailing. And it tells you right in the verse, sails pass. And at night, and teardrops. You know what the teardrop? You know what the lighthouse symbol is on a chart? It's a teardrop.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
All of these things start lining up. Moonlight in teardrops. That's the flashing light on top of the lighthouse. And the salt run. That's the salt right here. Sails pass by night.
Yep.
I believe that is a representation of two things, the lighthouse.
Yeah, it's true.
So
That's one of the many clues of this puzzle for St. Augustine.
we were talking about the overlay thing. Oh, here's the other thing. At the bottom of the painting, you have a narrow channel. What do you need to get through a narrow channel? You need aids to navigation. You need a lighthouse.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's exactly what I thought that was. And you know what that's also called is a pass, which is in the verse.
So, and that's why we were talking, I think, before we went live. The first thing I thought of when I saw this was a bird. And we have Bird Island. And this has got blue on top of it. That wasn't an island at one point. It was just water. That's why there's blue over the top of it. Oh, I know you're going to love this, Doug. I didn't find this. When I was looking for something else, I came across this on Reddit. Somebody did the overlay thing, which I'm not an overlay fan, but it's a match of that shoreline with the overlay.
Anastasia Island.
Anastasia Island. It's a match. Yep. Here it is. And guess what? Where that jewel falls, it falls right. Here's the shoreline. And you just go west, and where is it? The lighthouse. You go west from the overlay or the art. Where are you? The lighthouse.
Yeah, and you got a flash in the star sapphire too.
Right, exactly. If you look at that sapphire, it looks like the beam of a lighthouse going. If you envision a beam of the lighthouse going around and around, it's not going, but you catch my drift. And then
I see that every time I'm down there at night.
The same guy that posted on Reddit, I don't know how many years ago, he said stars move by day. Well, a flag. It's not just always the planetarium. People always assume it's the planetarium, or not always, but the planetarium, stars move by day. Well, so does the flag. So what's at the base? What is down below there? There's a park right below there, Lighthouse Park. And I started looking at that, and I don't know how. I don't want to be talking the whole time, but I found other clues that start lining up down there.
Go, give us what you got.
Okay.
It's a long podcast, right?
Yeah, all right. Well,
we're going to be here for a while.
Talk about the back of the book, and I came across. I had no idea what American Motor Gremlins had to do with anything. Okay, I go through and I underline things. And the gist of this thing is things that look great at the beginning, but then things go wrong, or things that look great but are dangerous. Okay, so I went through, well, what does that have to do with anything? And, there's some wording in here that caught my eye. Basically, and plus the image down below, that looked like the Iwo Jima being raised up. Now, I didn't know what that had to do with anything. But it talks about Morgan Le Fay, and if you look at that, that's a beautiful lady, but she can be deadly. She's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
A lighthouse is a beautiful thing, but people have fallen off of it and they've died. It's a dangerous thing too. It also prevents dangerous things from happening, like a sailboat or a ship getting hung up on the rocks. And in here it talked about kerosene, I think, was mentioned in here. Oh, look down. It talked about these little gremlins and what they were doing in the car thing. And I thought, well, what's the car is the artwork. Okay. If you look at the artwork, what do you have? See all these little dots here? That's rain. What's the last part of the verse? Rain falls. This is a light. It could be a tear. This is obviously a light pole. Could be a teardrop shape, a moon. And what's the verse say? Moon in teardrop, something like that.
Moonlight and teardrops.
So we got a moon and teardrop, falls. This guy's about to fall. There's some other stuff going on here. So I'm like, aha, this is Florida. this is the, and I've always said this, and I've shown in I'm not going to go into it here, but many of the other puzzles, the little cartoon is your localization. It tells you exactly where a cask is buried. Okay, so what do you have here? You got this guy, he's about to fall. And let me see if I have this was kind of neat. The lifesaver thing. I found this. These are gremlins and lifesaver. What is a sailboat? What does it say right here? Life savings. And what is the lighthouse do? It saves lives. They would go out in boats and save people that crashed on the rocks way back when. They were there. That's what they did. Let me find the other part of this. The back.
Now, one of the members that raised the flag at Iwo Jima is from Monticello, Florida.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's why. The whole spiral spark plug. What's on the lighthouse? It's a spiral band going up. Very similar. But what I really wanted to get, let me see if I can get this up.
Well, there is a Milwaukee connection to St. Augustine because of the German. That American Motor Gremlins is originally a Milwaukee story, but it stands for the American Motor Car Company that made the AMC Gremlin. That connects to the German automobile being invented by Carl Benz. But there are clues in that to other stories. That's pretty much the way of every single story that's in the book. They contain clues to all the puzzles, or most all the puzzles on each one.
Okay, so now one thing, I'm kind of jumping around here. I'm always looking in the art because he gives localization clues in the painting also. At the park, let me see here. I'm kind of jumping ahead. Let me back up. Sorry for this. They have, there's the Lighthouse Park right at not far from the base of this. That's not the one.
Hey, Chuck, I'm going to have you zoom in on this when you're done here. Just on a big picture level, I think there's some interesting things in this painting that we've got to look at.
Okay. I get going and I have so many connectors, I think, and then I get, okay, so here we go. Let's see. At this park, they have these lights like that. That's fine. They're the kind of the shape in that American Motors Gremlin. There's actually two of them. And here's a picture. They have this dome, geodesic dome-like thing, and you can see that it has these five-sided structures. And I'll get to why I think that's important in a minute. And you can see it a little better here. Now, if Byron took a picture of that and sent it in, maybe that they're incorporating some of this in the artwork. Fine. At the base of that, it is not far from a light pole, which is over here, and it's at the corner of the tennis court. And
that park you're talking about has been, I think there's been some major renovations to that in the past 43 years.
I'll bet there has been. But if you look,
I know they got a music venue event out there now.
That's the amphitheater I think you're talking about. But this is the local.
No. They're at that park next to the lighthouse.
So they
do music events out there.
You can see from this. Here's the corner of this tennis court. Here's the light, and here's that playground piece of equipment I was talking about. I think it's buried right in here, and the reason I think that is because of what I found in some of the artwork.
So Chuck, let me just pause you for a sec there, and it's something I've talked about that I've got a place I'm showing you here. I'm not sold on this. It's just it's a thought at this point. I don't have conviction about it, but I think it's important. Can you hold that for just 1 second? And you're sort of got it outlined, okay? And I want you to notice next to the gem these sharp angles.
Yeah, here.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. So I think it's helpful to get confidence in a place is to understand the big picture. Like in New York City, where I keep telling you guys it's not buried in the city at all. It can't be. The painting resembles nothing of the city. There's no sharp lines, there's no right angles, there's no cars, buildings in that painting. It's all organic for the most part. Okay? So if JJP is trying to show us an area that could be the start and the finish in the painting, okay, he would certainly represent man-made objects. And you see this in the paintings. They have a sharp angle to them. Like things in nature don't have right angles. But look at the two stones. I don't know if they're stones right next to the gem. Those look like buildings to me because they're not organic. They've got this organic kind of look to them, but they've got these right angles to them and sharp angles, and they almost look like an octagon. That's telling you this is man-made. So this one is buried near, I think, some type of man-made, if that's the gem. Okay? So these are things I think you've got to, at the right location, at the correct location, these things will add up. Okay? So that's one of the ways you go about this, I think, is ask yourself, what in this painting, is it organic? Is it man-made? Look at the Roanoke Island. It's got all this what looks like man-made shapes and objects in it. And so people that are digging on the beach and stuff, it doesn't look like a view out over the water. He's showing you this window, and inside the window, it almost looks like the sky. So you don't really see at all anything that resembles water in the Roanoke Island, even though there's water all over the place there. Okay? So I'm just saying, like, you need to, the right spot will have the same look and feel as the painting. And so ask yourself, start with simple. Is it man-made? Is it organic? If it's organic, it's in a park where there's hardly any man-made stuff, buildings, what have you. In this painting, I'll tell you, this is why my spot may not be right. I give it that. It's because there was like one building out at the end of the road here towards the beach. There's just one building. If I look inside this painting, there are lots of what look like man-made shapes, straight lines, angles. Back to the flag idea, Chuck. I'm gonna push back on you a little bit here. That flag is not organic. It has all these sharp angles to it. A flag blowing in the wind is completely organic, unless it was just unfolded. And I'm guessing this isn't a new flag that he's showing us, meaning you've got to explain that in your spot if you're going to be right. This is a man-made object. He's making it look like a flag. It looks like a flag to me, yet stylistically, it's not flowing like a flag would in the wind. So there's something more. There's something more to this.
It's only in the verse.
It's not just a flag. Okay, I promise you, it cannot be just a flag.
Is only in the verse.
A lot of stuff you're seeing in the painting is just to the city too. It has nothing to do with the dig spot.
Well, but why would he show us all this stuff?
Like behind you, the flag, the shape of
something is going to have to represent the area where the box is, right? And I'm just saying, there's a lot of man-made shapes in this one.
Sure, there's a map in the rock.
Versus New York City.
There's a map in his helmet.
New York City has the panel. That's it. The panel, the small little panel at the top, has man-made stuff in it. Everything else is organic. It tells you there's not a building, there's one building.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's organic and it's incredibly vague. Right, so you need the verse and then you need the book.
I'm just saying, on a big picture level, your site has to match what's showing in the painting. Otherwise, JJP has made a huge error.
That's
and
I'm
telling you, he hasn't made an error.
That's the painting, and it matches.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I'm just making a big picture comment here. I'm not discrediting.
I see what you're saying, Chuck.
They're right there. That could be the tennis court. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's an X. So I put an X. X marks the spot.
The
tennis court.
Oh, there's a lot. Like if people really study
Those
the painting,
shapes
you'll see there's
next to the
letters, there's musical notes, there's a
Right.
musical side to this.
But the point is you go from the general, the big picture, and you get narrower and narrower until you can see something in the painting or the back of the book art that says, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And that's the way I.
Well, I think everybody can agree. If you just use it looking at the painting, you're not going to find anything.
That's
It's
not
too
true.
confusing. There's
You can't
nothing
just-
set.
Right.
No,
You can't-
it says base of a tall tree because there's a palm tree there. Everybody assumes it's the base of a palm tree. You're not going to dig anything at the base of a palm tree.
No.
If you've ever dug around a palm tree.
No, the roots
You know?
are terrible.
And then it says bending branches because they'll be on a palm tree. Yeah. Those
So
could be
here-
a windswept coastal oak too. There's too many variables. So you got to get in the book and figure out exactly something connect exactly to these vague clues. The palm tree is also in the seal of Florida. You know, almost exactly like it is in the painting. So could that be a clue to Florida? Sure.
So Chuck, your
What do you see
thought,
on the back? What do you see on the back of this gremlin? It's an X. Where is he? He's down below the light.
So back to the painting and how the painting stylistically looks. It does have what appears to be a lot of water or open area, open space in the painting, along with man-made stuff. So I'm just saying, like, again, I don't have a spot. I have a quasi spot. Okay, but look at the painting. There's this huge area that's organic, right? The cloudy area, what appears to be clouds, and then there's water, and then all this stone. That makes sense for the, what is it, coquina? What do they call it?
Coquina.
Coquina. Okay, so this has to add up in the right spot.
Yeah.
Okay?
If
So what I'm
anybody, if
saying is,
anybody
like,
watching,
I
if
don't
anybody
think
watching
you're
is
going
not
to have-
familiar,
You're not
with-
going to have a spot that's entirely man-made here. You're not going to have a spot that's entirely organic. It looks to me like a combo of those.
yeah. But the coquina in St. Augustine, for anybody who doesn't know, there was a coquina quarry that's by the amphitheater, and it's basically just a mix of prehistoric shell with sand, and they had to mortar it and make bricks. This is what the fort's made out of. This is what the governor's house is made out of. This is what most of the structures and walls, all the homes there is made out of. The governor's house, they actually took the protective facade off of it so you could actually see it. So, if you're that far along in the book and you've come across the coquina, which is basically part of it's limestone, which is in the verse, which is another clue. So that's the building material they used that they got from the quarry. But you can dig it up on the beach if you want to, if you dig deep enough. But with the painting, there's just a lot of vagueness. There's a lot of vagueness of St. Augustine puzzle is very, very booked base. 98% of it. 1% is the painting. 1% is the verse.
No,
98% of that
Eric,
puzzle is in the
blasphemy.
book. It's not, dude.
Blasphemy.
No,
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
You can't look at the painting and just make up crap that you think stuff looks like. People have been doing that forever. St. Augustine's the worst of that. See, they go in. See, the book, the Fountain of Youth, came from the book. That's where that came from, not from the painting.
So what you're saying is Byron didn't take pictures at the box site and send them to JJP and say, paint this. That's what you're saying with that comment.
He's not doing that same tech. He's not doing the fence in Chicago in every puzzle. You had a wall in Cleveland, a wall that was manipulated heavily, and a home plate that's not even exactly like a home plate.
Oh, it's in the sleeve. But
he said
look,
they were the easiest. They were easiest for a reason.
Why make a
because he
painting
did
if it's meaningless? Why make a painting?
Because it's part of. I mean, look at this. If he gave you just a painting and said, "There's no stories or nothing, just a painting. Look at the clues and figure out the city." That's the way it would have been done. But he's got 12 fairies of a first voyage. He says the rest came later. Then the book has 76 different fairy stories. and you got a verse and a painting that you have to match to a city, and all he's given you is the first fairy.
But there's one painting in one city, or I'm sorry, there's one painting in one verse, and JJP received photos, and that's how he painted these. So
yeah, but he
it's
said
1%,
some of the
I
stuff
think that's
he received, he did not know what it was. He told Josh Gate that. He said, I didn't even know what he was telling me.
But look,
and there's a reason why BP didn't tell JJP what they were. It's part of the secrecy of it.
And this all speaks to this, which I've challenged you on, Chuck, about that there's all this information in the illustrations and the photos about where the boxes are. That would imply that there was a massive coordination effort between Byron, JJP, and the illustrators.
Hey, don't you use that same technique in New York, though? With your stuff in the book, Mark?
Well, no, that's all words. That's all words.
Well, how about the picture, the Teddy Roosevelt picture, the Spirit of '76? You use that? The picture?
No, I'm not using. The only thing there is it's showing you this. It relates to New York City, but there's nothing in there that tells you where the box is. He takes half the verse in New York City to direct us into the box.
So that doesn't tell you that it's not. I thought I heard you say that Von Briesen Park was decoded by one of those. The Teddy Roosevelt thing. It tells you that that's Von Briesen Park because the Spirit of '76 is Teddy.
Yes, yeah, but I'm just saying visually, there's nothing visually in those stories that tell you it's all the words. It's the stories themselves.
Are you sure?
Yeah, when you look at, let's go back to St. Augustine painting.
I'll make a bet with you on that if you want. But anyway, let's get back to this Florida thing. All right. Mm-hmm. I would need a little levity here. So now some of these, I'm sure, are for comic and for the hilarity of it. Yeah. Now, if you look at the bottom of this, look at the guy's face. I was trying to figure out, what is this guy doing? He's not going to sit there. He's not going to sit down. I don't think. That's what I thought at first. So if he's not facing the right way to be lifting, but he's straining, you can see it in his face. What do you think he's doing where he's straining? And there's a spark. There's a spark.
Yeah, is he doing a number 2?
Okay, now you got it, because in writing it talks about an explosion.
I'm not sure I want to get this one.
Yeah, an explosion.
I think that was for a funny. That was for a joke. I think that's part of the deal. You got some funny stuff in here.
I just, Chuck, this is just my opinion. It could be wrong. I just think logistically to try to coordinate box location using
it would be hard for you to do it. But he is an editor, and he sat down, and I made a video that explained it and showed how all he has to do is say, okay, we'll take this one right here, the one I just had.
There's 80 illustrations.
Y'all keep going. I'll be right back.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It takes him 2 minutes, and these are good artists. He has a team of artists. He didn't have one artist. He had a team. Okay, I can say, okay,
but he didn't spend that much time with JJP on the paintings.
What?
Why he didn't spend that much time as you've described?
You don't know how much time he spent. Maybe he did a sketch and he just handed it to the artist.
JJP said he sent him photos of the spot, and then he used those to create the paintings.
Right.
But he wasn't there
supposedly it took a year.
He sent in photos and he said, incorporate this into the art.
Yeah, he wasn't there dictating like, okay, I want a line going here because that's where the box is. I mean,
I believe Ben Asen said it was a year.
You're right. To try to there's just no way there was enough time to coordinate at that level.
I did it in a video, and it took me less than a minute, I think, to describe an art that I wanted. And I took one of the ones out of here. I just did it. I'll do it again if you want.
I'm gonna
find me. I'll do it.
I've got my faucet on and the water's cold. That I'm not going to turn any warm on and make it. I'm not going to make it lukewarm. I'm going to keep it ice cold.
This is the same kind of thing where somebody just dismissed the back of the book. it's because they can't figure it out or they're too lazy. One of the two, right? That's my opinion. These cartoons, this stuff has meaning. This isn't just, oh, this will be funny. Here, draw me a funny cartoon. You think a lot of these drawings are just to be funny or whatever. Some of them might be. Some of them may have no bearing on anything. But most all of them, the ones I've looked at, they will localize exactly where the cask is if you marry it up to the puzzle and you're near the location. If you start with this, you'll never find anything. You're right.
I just think logistically it was impossible for them to work. So how much would JJP or Sir Byron have to give away to the illustrators to be like, hey, draw this angle here, and I want this thing.
No, he didn't say draw this angle here unless he wanted an exact angle there. He'd say, draw me a card.
But what you're talking about is in the painting.
What?
The between the painting and here's the problem with the back of the book. Okay, what stories go to what puzzles?
There is no back of the book.
That's 80, the hard part.
There's 80-some story. There's 80-some illustrations and photos.
I'll give you an example of that right now.
There's only 12 paintings and 12 verses. So if you figured those out, you should have it.
For
versus 80-some stories that you're going to have to sift through and try to, I think this one goes with this.
Well, that's because you got to learn the history. So look. You got 200 in the Milwaukee verse, right? Milwaukee's German. American Motor Gremlins, page 200. 200. Just like that. It's like
lots
the post
of coincidences are out there.
But then look at the story. You got fifth in the verse of Milwaukee. You got 55. The automobile. He's if you look right here, he's looking wheel in Milwaukee painting. Because he's staring right at it. It's a mill wheel. It's an automobile wheel. It's a wheel. There's also a wheel in the St. Augustine painting, and it's purple and it's covering the fort.
But here's
That's
my
same
thing.
Exact shape, even with the hole in it.
If you have a conflict between the painting and verse and what you guys view as interpretations of the stories, which wins?
Well, there shouldn't be a conflict.
But there are.
There's not, because you got to follow the clues. Like, my opinion, there is no front or the back of the book. It's all just been mixed together. We know who the primary 12 fairies were looking for. The book tells you the fairies do everything in twos. That means if you got the Spanish, you need another one. It's German. The Werner von Brownie, he named the fairy the Werner von Brownie for Werner von Braun, the father of rocketry. All that imagery is in the illustration. So right there you have the two writers writing about it, Byron's words, and then you have John illustrating with the space shuttle, him lighting a fuse, him lighting a match. The two fairies illustrated are Werner von Braun. If you look at the face, they just made a little cartoon character of him. Nothing's in Cape Canaveral. So this one is also Florida, Texas, and California. So it's a clue to the Houston painting, obviously because of NASA. And San Francisco, that's not really where the Ames Research Center is, but it's pretty close to San Francisco. So these are just giving you areas. And Houston's Houston.
Chuck,
wait. Kennedy Space Center is... You're not digging down there, neither was Byron, but you use Seloy to come back to St. Augustine. You're not looking for the indigenous tribes people. We already know it's Spanish, so what you're doing is you're bringing the German to St. Augustine because St. Augustine was put on the map, tourist-wise, by Henry Flagler the German. There's your connection. That is historically accurate, and a lot of this, you only know how to make the connections when you know the history. Simple as that. There's another connection to Houston because Flagler was in the oil business. He's part of the energy
and they
story.
Exist. It's just, I'm interested in just the clues that get me to the box. But you guys are
but these are clues that are going to help you to get there. The German and Seloy is going to get you in St. Augustine, and they confirmed that's the city. Seloy confirmed St. Augustine is the city. There's no reason to be in Key West or Tampa or any other location in Florida.
All right, so here's an example.
I know.
Okay?
I was
Here's
going
an
to throw that
example.
in there.
New York City, folks. Thus, I was going to use an explicative, but I won't. My girls are here tonight. The Statue of Liberty. It's in the painting. Now, recall at the start of this
just
whole
the face
thing,
of the Statue of Liberty.
at this whole thing, no one knew any of the cities. No one knew which went with what. It was a great mystery here. So to say like, oh, well, that's too obvious that it's a Statue of Liberty. Well, it wasn't back then. It is now because we all accept
They
that.
knew that was New York when they looked at that one.
I'm just saying that he's
Just
showing
like they knew
you
it was Charleston.
visually. He's showing you visually the Statue of Liberty. People don't have a view of the Statue of Liberty. I see a view of it in the painting. Your dig spot doesn't have a view of it. So this is where there's a disconnect.
Yeah,
okay? He's not,
no.
He's not going to
back
make
up,
the Statue of Liberty a secondary
It's
clue
not
in New York.
In the painting, it's not the Statue of Liberty.
You're right. Not. It's a combo of the bridge and the Statue of Liberty.
Look at the conquistador behind you. Does he have a conquistador hat? Yes. The plaid green, yellow, gold checkerboard is he wearing? Is that armor of a conquistador? No. He's not wearing any.
It's a mashup of stuff, right?
But he's not wearing any boots.
But this is my point: is he's showing you in the painting the Statue of Liberty.
The face only.
If you end up somewhere that doesn't have a view of that, you have a disconnect between the visuals in the painting and where you are. And that can't be right.
The Statue of Liberty was based off its design was based off of other things. There's a real woman's face that was used, and the Greek. You got to go once again. You're going to the Greek fairy. She's based on Greek goddesses.
What's the theme of this entire book? It's not carburetors.
It's immigration. She's wearing Greek robes,
this
just
is
like the
people
Statue
have
of Liberty.
Convinced themselves that the Statue of Liberty doesn't need to be in this, which is this universal symbol and theme for all immigrants forever and ever. It's in the painting, no less. This is what I'm talking about.
Angel Island was in San Francisco, and we know that from the history. See, this is something we're assuming all these people know that Ellis Island and Angel Island are the two immigration centers of the East and West. Most people don't know that.
If your fair people stories take you to a place that doesn't have a view of the Statue of Liberty,
there's nothing that says you have to have a view of the Statue of Liberty.
It does. It's showing you right in the painting, Eric. Yes.
That's not how it works.
That's like saying the St. Augustine painting, you have to see a conquistador.
Okay.
Where would that put you?
No.
Conquistador standing there with a windrow.
I'd put you right on the side of the Bridge of Lions where Ponce de Leon statue is.
I think I'll make it. The Statue of Liberty is an afterthought in New York City on a book and treasure hunt about immigrants.
Yeah. It's New York City. It tells you New York City. That's it.
New York City.
I'm just saying, there is a conflict between the painting
the Statue of Liberty
and the painting and where you end up. And so what wins? That was my question to you.
No, it's a good guess. See, even with illusion, you're going to learn the history of what Byron's alluding to, but it does require a guess, a hypothesis. But you gotta be guessing based on the information you've gotten from the book. Byron's alluded to everything in history that you need in the text of the book.
He talks about in Spirit of 76. The whole book is about immigrants.
But it's
just an afterthought.
Let's back up. What is the Spirit of 76? It's the spirit of what led to the Revolutionary War. 76 is a reference to 1776. That has nothing to do with the Statue of Liberty.
How many monuments? He refers to the monuments in the Spotter's Clue as a she. Her monuments erected to her fame. How many statues or monuments?
But you're assuming her is the Statue of Liberty.
Okay, well, this is my point. Is
if that's true, you can find it in the book.
Well, show me another statue of any relevance or importance in New York City that's referred to as a her.
I refer to my motorcycle as her.
Where's the her?
Okay.
What is you guys see the spirit of 76? The spirit is what Byron's referencing.
He
as
says
her.
it tells you right in there. Max distance away from the monuments erected to her fame.
Her is the spirit, not the Statue
a
of Liberty.
monument. Her, New York City.
No, it was
If
ideology.
you can't put that together, then as a hunter, you should
see,
go
why
flip
a
burgers
bride?
somewhere.
Where is
Why a
that said? Is
bride?
that said in the book? Is that written in the book?
Yes, it's right in the spotter's tip. So I'm just saying, like,
Then
he
why
says it.
Teddy? Why
He
Teddy? Why a
refers to
fraud?
bedloads.
Why a
He
bride?
refers
Why a
to
groom?
it in Spirit of 76.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, dude, is
It's in the
you're
painting.
trying
So
to
you
come
guys
to
are
no.
See, now that it benefits you, you like the book. You see that now the clues in the book.
Statue of Liberty is like
You know
going
what I mean?
to Fountain of Youth
Now they're
and
cool.
going. I'm going to use this one clue to get to the treasure. There's more clues than the Statue of Liberty.
I'm just saying, like, the Spirit of 76, the photo was taken from which ferry? Staten Island.
Wouldn't it make more sense that the park had something to do with the Spirit of 76 then?
I'm just saying, I'm telling you what's there. It's a photo taken in the harbor there on the Staten Island ferry of New York City. If that story does not relate to New York City, then someone made a grave error.
My spot relates to the Spirit of 76.
Anyway.
Okay, are you a max distance away from it?
Yes.
Are you to the south of it, as Byron tells you in the verse?
Yes, I'm south of the monument, max distance, to where it would be.
So that's basically the Verrazano Bridge, the Fort
Oh
Wadsworth
no,
area.
it doesn't mean it's the Verrazano Bridge for me. For you, maybe not for me. But all I have to do, all my spot has to do is match those things. Then it's viable.
Well, yeah, and so if you're using a map and you look on a map, what's the furthest distance south away from the statue where you can still see it? It's that area. So if you're not in that area, you have a different map than I do of New York City.
Anyway, can we get back to the Florida?
Yeah, we need to get back to St.
Florida.
Augustine.
We always end up in New York or Charleston or Milwaukee.
I'm using that as an example.
I'd just like to show this one picture here I came across. They actually had boats. I don't know if they still make them. They're Windrose. This is the name of the boat. Windrose.
Not a term.
Again, another sailing. And a compass rose, anybody that is familiar with navigation knows what a compass rose is.
Yep.
And so he's talking about near
Windrose.
Near men with sailing boats. Near men with sailing boats.
Yep.
Chuck, I take
that
back
goes
I
along.
ever said
That
about
goes
you.
along with the water and everything else.
Yeah, but what are the sailors? What do you use for navigation going in and out and around there? Use the lighthouse, particularly at dark, at night. Moonlight and teardrops. Did we cover that live?
And before lighthouses, they used torches on the beach.
Did we cover the whole teardrop on a chart? Is a lighthouse. Teardrop.
Yeah, you talked about that.
All right. So, and Salt Run, we talked about where that was.
Yep.
And one other thing that I don't know if we talked about, he doesn't tell you to go anywhere on this. He doesn't tell you to start at A, take 16 steps or twice as many steps or, go here, go. He just gives you all this information. So I think your start is your finish. Pretty close.
So Chuck, that's an important point in that, and I've mentioned this, when you have the verse so descriptive of where the box is, and again, I'm going to use New York City because he uses half the verse to describe how to get to the box. Some of these verses, it's completely, it seems almost useless. That tells you that you've got to use the painting to get you to the box.
Well, and the St. Augustine verse is like what JJP said at the meetup. He said to look around. So if you look at this, Stars move by. He's giving you day and night, in the dark, moonlight.
It's not very descriptive.
So
The verse.
it's basically telling you in day or night. You could hear honking. There's a you got a visual in darkness. Bending branches. These are all a green picket fence. That's a visual. Base of a tall tree. Visual. You could hear honking. Use your ears. Shell, limestone, silver, salt. You could just tell all that crap is it's vague, just like the painting. You need the book.
Well, the painting then becomes the primary source for getting to the box. In New York City, no. The painting is not going to get you there because he's spending half the verse telling you how to get to the box. He wouldn't need the painting to also do that, is my point. So when you look at the structure of the verse is very instructive about what you need to solve these.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Painting is not going to be helpful in New York City.
If anybody is new to the book, this is the one puzzle, the secret, that we know it's Spanish, but there are no Spanish stories in the back of the book. So that's telling you right there. If you don't have any Spanish stories, you know Spanish ferry is the first ferry. Second ferry is going to be the German ferry. We also know that there's British, French, African, because all the civil rights. There's tons of civil rights connections to St. Augustine from 1963, 64, leading up to their, was it the 450th anniversary or the 400th anniversary? So this is the one puzzle, only puzzle that works like that. Every other puzzle has stories of the primary ferry, except for this. There are no Spanish stories because basically, I think Byron left that out because they were everywhere. So he used Seloy, and the founding of St. Augustine, September 8th, 1565. So that's why it's September. Seloy, which is who Mendez met when he got there. But there's a religious factor. There's music referenced. It referenced the father of rocketry, composer Richard Wagner. You have the composer Paul Green. That's also he's part of the Roanoke painting as well. There's multiple connections. There's connections to Houston and St. Augustine, Roanoke and St. Augustine, New York, St. Augustine, Milwaukee and St. Augustine.
Also, I failed to mention this one gremlin. His head has square edges to it. He's the only gremlin, if you look at this, that has that. And there's that shape again, polygon. And again, it backs up the whole idea of a light. And it's got the characters in here, the moon, the teardrops, or the raindrops, and the falling, the falling off. It all comes back, and it actually reinforces the theory at the lighthouse, that it's at Lighthouse Park near that playground equipment.
So in this painting, we've got some flowers.
Here it is.
But there's a lot of them, right?
Polygons right here. The light, it's got everything.
So I just want to, some of the paintings don't have clocks, right?
Correct.
Yep.
This one.
Yeah.
What other ones don't have clocks? Montreal and Houston.
Or no, not New Orleans. Houston, no.
Okay. So there's not one in Milwaukee either, right? So
Nope.
If you believe for a moment, if you grant me this, that things point to the box, the clocks point to the box, the hands of the clocks, yes. hands, and we see him do this very clearly in San Francisco, where the fairy's doing this. She's pointing to something. Okay, so this is a motif that you can put money on. You can put chips on the fact that he's saying, like, hey guys, over here.
Well,
So
maybe hands pointing, like a hand, like a finger pointing. But this clock thing is all hypothetical. Anybody can skew it.
I've shown you in several cities how it works, and
Yeah,
it lines up.
anybody can skew it so that those things are pointing to their box.
I've got the best skew on it. Okay.
Maybe.
So show me a better skew. Show me a better skew is my challenge.
You got the best wrong take on it.
Okay, it all works. I'm telling you, it all works. There's no gaps in it. Okay. In any case, here, something's pointing to the box. I think something has to be pointing to the box. Has to is too strong. The odds would favor, if there's no clock, something else is pointing to the box. So what is pointing to the box in this one? Now, maybe there isn't. I think that's an easy motif. It's an easy methodology, and it's very helpful if you can orient properly, probably on a map. Something is pointing to the box. So in this St. Augustine painting, again, there are
something is pointing to the box.
Several things.
Something's looking at the box. Put it that way.
Yeah. That guy's looking at the box.
Right. He's probably looking at the box. The flag, I keep telling you, I think at the end of the flag is probably a good spot to be going. I don't know that, but look.
Well, with an overlay, he's standing on Anastasia Island, and he's looking down at the Plaza de la Constitución. That's exactly. If you overlay it on the map and you look where he's looking down at, he's looking right down.
People have shown how the Conquistador really lines up well to Anastasia Park, and particularly near the beach. And it's really good.
It's the shape, what he's standing on in the painting. So when you're in downtown St. Augustine, you cross the Bridge of Lions, you're on Anastasia Island, and then the other part on the beach is Anastasia State Park. But he is on top of Anastasia Island. That's exactly what JJP painted, was that rock formation in the shape. And you can look at it on Google Earth. It's almost identical. Even the little face on the back side. That is it.
Something in this painting, once the person, whomever that is, locates this box and rips it out of the ground, if it's still there,
I'll be doing that
soon. There, I promise you, something is pointing or looking at this box.
There's a lot in that painting, folks. This painting is one of the toughest
is that little
ones
blue thing? Is that the
secret.
gem? What's the gem for Augustine?
Sapphire.
Sapphires are red, aren't they?
No, that's a blue star sapphire.
That's blue star sapphire? Okay.
It's got like a...
So
I think it's like a fissure inside of it.
That's the... that's the gem, isn't it? Is that the gem?
Yeah, right there.
So the Conquistador isn't actually looking there. He's looking somewhere else. Right. He's kind of looking down, but he's not kind of looking down exactly at it. No, but I don't see, if you follow his eyes, or what looks like the path of his eyes, he's looking at the horse somewhere versus...
See, there's a star sapphire in the ring.
Oh, okay.
So, basically.
Got it.
Okay, he could be looking at... He's got a vision, a range of vision that we can't really tell. I could be looking at you, and actually looking down. You know what I mean? So he's looking down. That's the point.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, he's looking down from like the top,
But he ain't no clock hands.
So, and it's a visual. Once you get to the correct spot, you understand what he's looking at.
He's up at the top of the lighthouse. And he's looking out.
It's a cool motif to have something pointing at the box. It helps us, right?
But that's the assumption that there's something in here pointing to the box.
But that
Makes
means that
sense.
doesn't mean you got to draw straight lines from it and
Well,
say that's evidence.
I think it
Overlay
comes
something
together
and
at
draw
the right.
straight lines. That's no
Need the
good.
book. Need the book. You
Well,
got so many stories. Hey, let's go here. Hang on. Let's stop what we're doing and let's go to let's utilize the book with the Florida stories that are listed. Now, when you start at the beginning of the book, you're going through. So the first story you're coming across is going to be the gargoyle, which is African. So Spanish, and then Byron's giving you the book African because it lists.
how do you know that one relates to this one, Eric?
Because the gargoyle area of origin, Old World, is African. Area of concentration, New World, which means here is Nebraska and Florida. Now, we know Nebraska has nothing to do with any treasure cities, but Florida, we know it's St. Augustine because of Seloy. So the first one we're doing African. This is what I was talking about earlier about all the civil rights history. That went on in St. Augustine. And there's even a part in the book where it's referencing acid. And that was one of the events at the Rain Falls Monsoon Hotel in 1963 or 64 when the owner was dumping acid in the pool on the interracial mixed couples that were in there. Rain Falls, monsoon.
Oh man, I thought you were talking about like acid, like stuff you take.
It was pool acid. It was
I'm really
liquid chlorine
disappointed in
what he was dumping on them. But so African, and that's on page 78 as you're reading through the book.
Okay, so that mentions Florida, so that makes sense that this one.
Hold on, and there's only 2 stories. So then you come to the Werner von Brownie, which is Chinese. There's fairy number 3, and then European, which is not a country that you have to figure out. But when the Werner von Brownie, you figure out that's Werner von Braun, the German. That's what the European means, and that says Florida, Texas, and California. So that's one story that has clues for 3 puzzles. Exactly.
The space shuttle. So
but you see how he hides it. So if you look at Werner von Braun, who's the father of rocketry, before there was rockets, there was gunpowder, which was an invention of the Chinese. That's why it's listed as Chinese. But Byron hides the German by saying European. That's what I'm telling people in the book. When you see these stories that will they'll say Asian or they'll say European. I think there's a few in here that say, like some will say German, Italian, French. There's your fairies. One says Celtic. You figure out that's Irish and Scottish people. That's both countries. Native American is not the Indians because the book tells you that the fairies were not naive enough to call the indigenous tribes people Native Americans. When you see a story that says Old World origin Native American, that means native to America. That's something we invented, like alfalfa, Native American, New Mexico. That's the development of the atomic bomb. That's why it's Native American, because we developed it here in America. It didn't immigrate from somewhere else. You have the joke fiend says Eastern European. Something's being hidden there. You look at Byron and say, Eastern European, what country? He'd go, you figure it out. Because Eastern Europe is part of the continent. It's not a country. Excuse me. So you see a lot of Native American, and you see a lot of references. You see the bugbears, Western European. I figured out that was England.
Eric, I'm the Werner von Brownie. There's a picture of the space shuttle. If that's not Florida, just like in Spirit of 76 and Wooly Bully in New York, those have New York stamped all over them. So those have to relate to New York City. So I would tell you, Werner von Brownie 100% has to relate to Florida because that's what he's showing you here.
Yeah,
right?
They
now,
do.
Check the spotter's tip. I will read it for you. Postponed countdowns, unexpected setbacks, unavoidable budgetary overruns, and of course, huge fireballs are all indications that the Werner von Brownie's program is right on schedule. There's not a damn thing in here that tells you anything about the box. The spotter's tip is useless, right? And I would contrast that. So, Douglas, why do I like the stories in New York City? Because they're so specific. He's giving you specific orientation in Spirit of 76.
So the spotter's tip was useless in Florida, but it's worth
Yes.
something in New York.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Well, let's look.
you
You talking
tell
about the
me
Werner
how-
von Brownie spotter's
Look at this.
tips?
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
What is this telling you?
Postponed
About-
countdowns. What does that allude to? Postponed countdowns. Shuttle
Well,
launches.
Yes.
Shuttle.
Unexpected setbacks. That's budgetary stuff. Unavoidable budgetary overruns. Yeah, that was the space shuttle, any kind of space program. And of course, huge fireballs. Now, what is that?
He talks about the space age. Okay, so I'm just saying
first,
the spotter's tip.
Wait. Let's go to the history. April 12th, 1981 was the first space shuttle launch, which is so Byron was quite aware of this situation. All the other indicators that the Werner von Braune's program is right on schedule. Program is a computer reference. Go to glitches, because glitches is also New York, and it's all talking about what's that called? Fartran, the computer programming and stuff. Glitches, like a computer. That program right there is a clue that will take you right to the glitches and just keep going. So you like space shuttle. These are launches and everything. But so Werner von Braun invented the V1, V2 rocket when he was a major in Nazi Germany. They were used for war. At the end of the war, he surrendered U.S. forces. He's the one that started our space rocket program. But later, what did those space rockets become? They became, once again, weapons of war. They reverted them right back to they went from carrying astronauts to space to carrying nuclear warheads. This is like when you go to New York and you start seeing all the 3 Mile Island, Geiger counter, nuclear, atomic. You got to follow that in New York.
Okay,
it has nothing to do with Teddy. It has nothing to do with Arthur Van Briesen. That's when you take one clue and it takes you to a spot. But if you had all these other clues, you would leave that spot and go somewhere else.
No, you wouldn't.
You would.
So, look.
What is Arthur Van Briesen? He was a lawyer. What does he have to do with nuclear? 3 Mile Island, Geiger counters. Teddy, nothing. Teddy was dead. Teddy was dead before the nuclear age even started. That's why I say it's FDR, because he was president and he's the one that greenlit the Manhattan Project.
No, he's not in this.
Yeah, the Woolly is FDR. The bully is Teddy.
No.
FDR wore a wool blue naval coat to cover himself up in his wheelchair.
Neither
That's
of these
in the
Roosevelts,
Smithsonian,
sir, were born in Prussia, as the Woolly Bully was. Neither of them fought in the Civil War, as the Woolly Bully did. Neither of them spoke German, as the Woolly Bully did. Neither of them.
FDR Senior did.
FDR was friends with Teddy. That's the only commonality. But
Teddy's dad, whatever his name was,
the Woolly Bully is Arthur Von Briesen. It describes him to a T.
If you look up Arthur Van Briesen, there's not a source that's 2013.
Where does
Arthur? No source for him.
Where
in the 80s?
Arthur Van Briesen is part of it. He's a lawyer. You look in.
He is the Woolly Bully.
What the hell is the story? The small businessman. Businessman has a lawyer in it. Arthur Van Briesen was a lawyer.
Yes.
He's the one. He was the one that started the legal aid. Where does that take you?
Yes.
The courthouse.
No.
Courthouse. Yes.
No. Yes. The Spirit of 76 is giving you orientation.
No, Arthur Van Briesen has nothing to do with Teddy. It's if Arthur Van Briesen, he is directly connected to legal aid.
They were incredible friends.
Legal aid is mentioned in the book. And Teddy also had a bunch of court appearances in Brooklyn.
Teddy was honorary president of the Legal Aid Society.
I can see that I'm just going to have to dig the cask up in New York.
Look,
this argument.
New York's gone.
You guys know I like to talk about methodology. Spotter's tip in this one for our Von Brownie is not useful in my read of it. Now, maybe someone else can say it is. However, in New York City, Douglas, and I'm sorry about this, you'll have to take this up with Byron one day when you go pass through the pearly gates and meet him, as to why the spotter's tip in Spirit of 76 is so descriptive. And the other ones, a lot of them are not.
You got to use the spotter's tips of every single story for them to make any sense. That's why by themselves they don't make any sense.
Hey, Mark.
They're just as vague as everything else.
Mark,
can you do a sound effect here? Can you give me the Family Feud sound effect?
Hey, Mark.
No.
Question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Does this look normal? Would somebody draw some grass or something that look like that? I don't know if you can see it. If I can make it.
No, I've got.
Does that look normal to you?
Tall grass.
It's just drawn by the artist for fun, as a joke. And also, does that look familiar to you? That might be very similar to that, and that might mean like V2. Couldn't that mean V2? I'm just throwing that out there. This isn't like a natural thing that you would draw on a cartoon. Is that there has to be something that means. And if this goes with Houston,
it's a V. It's making a V. He made the V2 rockets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it may mean
you see the V and you see the 2 also.
I think you're looking into the clouds. I think people could look at that and say it's an Indian head, it's an arrowhead, it's all kinds of things it could be.
Do you think grass looks like that? That an artist would go out of his way to draw that in?
Well, how many letters on the alphabet? And it just happens to look like a V. And
So
he's directly associated to the V1 and V2 rocket programs of Germany.
Okay, but so you guys like these connections. That's fine. It's fun. It's interesting. It's part of the book. That's fine. I don't think this helps us get to the box.
And look at that. He's got the wing on his head, which are exactly the wing. There's wings exactly like that, just done differently. The Valkyrie wings.
And there's a number probably up here. Number 2.
That's in the painting. A wing and a wing.
What's in the painting?
The wings on his ears, the Valkyrie wings from Ride of the Valkyries, because it also mentions Richard Wagner. See him on his ears?
Okay, but where is it in the painting? Where is it in the painting?
Odin. The big wing.
My point,
it's not a bird, it's just a wing.
These cartoons are for localization. Yeah. Mark, you want these to tell you from beginning.
But the book already tells us this story is Florida.
Find the box just from this. That's what
throw the paintings away.
That'll never happen. You want the art. You're saying that if this art was correct, you could get to the box by looking at this. There's no way. That's impossible.
No, I think you've got 82 pictures of photos and illustrations in the book because I counted them. The effort to try to coordinate all of that.
It's easy. He had a
Besides, that's what he had JJP do. Why would he need to then do it again?
He had a team of artists.
But why would he do it twice?
Why would he have a team of artists?
Yeah, I mean, look at this.
I'm adding ice to my bucket of water to make it even colder.
Hey, listen to this. This is right at the end of the history.
Why have the painting if he's going to do it in all these 82 illustrations and photos?
The back of the book.
Because you got to use all of it together. That's part of the difficulty.
These are for localization.
You only have to use the clues that get you to the box.
And they're in the book. They're not just in the painting. None of the others work like Chicago.
The painting is in the book.
You've got to drop that
mindset. Mark, I do come down on you a lot, but you know, I agree a little bit in a sense, but the book does tell you stuff. I've seen it too much.
It does. Yes, it does.
I've seen too much. There's too much connections. So there is stuff, but I do agree that if you know what you're doing, you might just need the image and verse. You know what I mean? Just like Robo, if you live in the town that it's at, you might have an advantage by just being able to see what's in the image and verse.
Just as the spotter's tip in New York City in Spirit of Science is very descriptive, it's not in the other ones.
But you can't vanquish the book like that.
No, but I'm just saying that is an instance where it's an orientation. It's an orientation tip, and it's actually useful. So
honestly,
I can't explain to you why the other ones. Yeah, if you can, but it's so I'm just saying I think he purposefully mixed it up. There's some commonalities, as I think we would all agree, as to how the paintings were made and of how Byron approached it. But I think he purposefully made them different. And I don't think people would disagree with that.
It's illusion. Illusion is exactly how you create a book like this. Everybody should go research that. How do I create a historical scavenger hunt book by alluding to clues? It'll say illusion. There's so many words in there. It's alluding to just stuff. Look, and you're not even talking about, like, if you go just on the Werner von Brownie, you just start the book out. Singularity, just keywords, Werner von Brownie, habits, the nuclear family of fairies, atoms, 3 Mile Island hijinks, Geiger counter, melted probe, levels of radiation, Cape Canaveral to Santa Barbara. There's 2 cities you got to check. Then you go down, it's talking about fireballs. Then it says they're shutting off their cameras with the help of the glitches. There's another story you have to go reference. Then it says Venus. Venus is in that illustration where the guys at the yogurt stand. You got Venus and Saturn. Satellites. So this is all space. Interplanetary jests. There's a Mongolian frog reference, that because Teddy's a frog. Then as you go on down through these, you see Cornwall. Now it's talking about the 13 colonies. Bombs bursting in the air. That's Revolutionary War. Invention of the steam engine. What's that got to do with anything? Internal combustion engine. Steam engine train. Henry Flagler, Florida. That simply alludes to him with the railroad. Local 4th of July fireworks. 4th of July. There's your spirit of 76. July 4th. These are all illusions. Then you go to spotters tips, setbacks, fireballs, then program, computers. That program directly connects over on the next page in the habits to glitches. And when you go to glitches, you see it's all about computers. It shows a punch card. But when you look mostly in this, you really look through this, you go when the first Chinese kid force-fed the first firecracker to the unfortunate and anguished Mongolian frog. Chinese invented gunpowder. They also invented fireworks. Gunpowder eventually went into weapons, muskets, cannons. Eventually it became rocket fuel.
Hi, thank you. Okay, thank you.
So it's like keep
following
the history.
I like it. Yeah, thank you.
Let's look at Cleveland real quick, because I don't know that Mark saw my video.
Which one?
These guys dug for Mark. Are you still there? Or are you busy?
Yeah, I am.
These guys dug for 6 months.
Mark's getting DoorDash.
Oh wait,
yes.
I'm sorry, that was Chicago. But the Cleveland, let's go to the Cleveland where it was on the back of the monument in the Greek Cultural Gardens.
Yep.
This is the cartoon that goes with Cleveland. And it tells you right here, how do I look from the back? How do I look from the back? Do you think that's just a coincidence that it says that? Okay.
Because you had to go around to the back of the Greek garden.
Right.
Where I'm sorry, say it again, Chuck. What you're
under the caption, it says, how do I look from the back? And you know what Myra is like mirror. So this is a mirror image. It's also about, if you look at this, you see the spots. There's spots up here. There's a spot right here on this heel that's important. That's not just oops, we just accidentally dropped some of our whiteout drop on there and we left it. No. So if you look at this art, what is Myra Kamira? What is this guy doing? This image right here, what is she doing right there? She's making a hole in a stocking. She's making a spot. You see a spot right here on the leg also, in addition to that. This is telling you, dig the hole on the right side. And if you don't even believe that, you come over here and you look at under the wording. And if you go to necromancer, these two are related. And I'll show you that in the video, and I'm not going to go through it all. The necromancer, you don't spot a necromancer. A necromancer spots you.
Okay.
So this character is putting the spots on. And if you look and you keep looking at this stuff and you find more and more clues, the play Bernice Bobs Her Hair, that's not in there just because it was, the guy liked the 1920 story, which they actually made a movie out that came out in 1976. Oh, what a coincidence. Byron might have seen that in 1976. And she says, I want to be a society vampire. She's the necromancer, if you like.
Yeah.
This is all tied in together to give you.
And that's an era. That's an era in history. It's the 20s and 30s.
Right. And what did they have? They had flappers. Do I have the necromancer picture in here? She's a flapper.
And that's part of Charleston in the African painting. If you go back to the fairy pulling the pantyhose, the wings match the wings of the fairy.
Okay. So Bernice Bobs Her Hair. Painting. What do you have in there? You have a mirror. You have the white gloves. It's mentioned in the wording. You have the necromancer. She's in the 20s outfit. Yeah. She's the flapper.
Yeah, and you can see her reflection because they weren't real vampires.
Right, and there's a mirror there. These things, Myra Chimera, mirror. How do you look from the back? It's a mirror image.
The evil necromancers are still at bars today. Men.
You see the white gloves here. If you watch that video, it makes sense. It all adds up. It makes sense. It all comes together. And then these clues are in the back of the book. And those two back of the book, whatever you want to call them, fair folk, fairies. And
that's the jazz.
The same thing. It tells you on the backside. Then what? And in the movie, they had this. And if you know what a Rolls Royce has on its hood, that's Myra Chimera.
Yeah.
So that image, they probably decided, the artist maybe, I'm going to use that in our clue in the back.
Hey Chuck, how would someone look at that story and these shoes and know, this is what it's saying. It's saying I need to go around the back side of it.
Okay,
or go
fair
to
enough.
The right.
You do what I did. I underlined stuff and I tried to explain them. And this stuff's explained in the movie. If you go through the movie, you see these things. You see the lacing of this on the hem. You see that in the movie. You see the actual character.
I just think it'd be rather hard because you got to think, I don't know where the box is. And now we know in retrospect how these guys did it. But could they look at this and be like, oh, yeah, I mean, based on this, I need to go walk around to the right side and go and dig it in the back. I just don't see how anyone would piece that together.
Because you have to be smart, I guess. I'm not saying they weren't smart, but they're like me and everybody else. We're too eager to dig. We go digging without all the clues. And then people get burned out.
If you already knew the history of the location, say you were looking, a lot of this is in the verse. I mean, it's pretty simple from the verse of Cleveland because it basically says you got to hop up, which you can't do from the front. You got to go around the back because that's the only side with stairs.
I mean, you can solve some of these without the back of the book. And Byron said you don't need the back of the book to find a cast. That's correct. You don't. But these cartoons actually localize exactly where it is if you go through.
But that's a play. See, Byron's playing with everybody when he speaks. In the publishing world, the back of the book is this. It has nothing to do with the pages. This is the front of the book. When they say the back of the book, they mean, and the reason you don't need this is because all this shit's already in the book. This is just like a summary. But this is what, and I've asked a publisher, if a publisher says you don't need the back of the book, he said that's just the back cover.
Right. He could have meant that too when he answered.
Every single thing Byron says requires research. I mean, he's even done interviews where it's like when JJP gets interviewed, and it's like he could be asked. You could ask JJP, "Did you use the technique of illusion?" We know he already does it, but the rest of the people, the writers, all you got to do, have they ever written anything where they're hiding clues in it? And that is why none of these puzzles were the ones that were solved quickly. And look, Chicago was found pretty quick because the right guys got it. We're 22 years later or 21 years later when the next one's pulled out of the ground. We're almost 20 years later when the Boston one's discovered, and it's been 43 years later. Anybody that thinks these things are easy and don't require research, and Byron said that multiple times. I was posting that in the Mark a lot. He said, I've left you to cook clues to keep you from, and he discouraged people from guessing. So if you're not going to guess, how do I not guess? He basically says, get in the book and just follow the keywords.
Right,
It's very technical.
Right. And get all of the clues. Don't do like I did. I've dug way too many holes. And because I didn't have enough, I didn't have all the clues.
I did the same thing until people start understanding the illusion. You got to determine the clue you're chasing. Like going back to St. Augustine, Seloy. Of course, it's going to make you go to the Fountain of Youth. You go, okay, it's the Fountain of Youth today, but this is where his tribe was. But when you read the rest of the book and you go, okay, no private property, this, that, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Who did we lose? And we lost Mark.
Yeah, I don't know.
So basically, you're not. Eventually, you're going to figure out by going on and continuing with the rest of the clues in the book. You're going to go, Fountain of Youth is not where I need to be. Why? Well, one, this is private property. They're not going to let us dig. They're never going to let you dig.
It's an archaeological site. He wouldn't be buried in there for that reason. But
Byron didn't jump the wall in the middle of the night with John Poundcar. Can you imagine these two guys trying to climb a wall?
And they knew this too, but that's beside the point.
Exactly.
Let me
everybody is in the Fountain of Youth because of Seloy. And everybody goes, it's there. It's there.
It's not there.
Even John Fraser says it's not in that park.
No, it's not.
And you got to look. I mean, it's nothing against Brian Zinn, but who drugged Josh Gates there?
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't. I don't think he was there because of Brian Zinn's theory. But that is not the spot. Byron, and it's like when Byron got that email, this girl said, is that the zoo in Houston? And he goes, no, but that'd be a great place to visit. He's telling you to go in there, go into Fountain of Youth, because there are clues in there. You go in there and you go, oh, who the hell is this Mendez guy? Oh, Seloy and the tribe met. Oh, Timaquanan Indian. He's in charge of the tribe here. That's in the book. See, but you got to know what's in the book.
Right.
He met Mendez, the Spanish guy. And will it take you next door over to the mission with the big giant cross? Yeah, it will. It'll take you to a whole bunch of places. It actually will take you down to Cape Canaveral if you want to take the trip.
And here's something else from the Necromancer right before Spotter's Tips. Byron uses Tootsies two different ways. Okay, Tootsie meaning a foot. That's the number one on the dictionary definition I have here. And the number two is a young woman that's being of age or whatever. And he uses it in here in the wording. It says, fortunately for the future bliss of America's Tootsies and fellas, most servicemen accepted their Tootsies' honest explanation for those evil artifacts. I just don't know how it got there. Well, he's actually saying, is that an artifact? No, it's not an artifact. That little white dot's an artifact, and it's on near the foot, a Tootsie. So he's using the word Tootsie two different ways, and he does that in many of these clues. But this one should jumped right out. It's obvious what was going on with this.
Yeah, now, that movie starring Dustin Hoffman also came out in 1982.
If you don't want to believe that, if you don't want to believe that localization, that's fine. I did it for Chicago, Cleveland. I did it for the San Francisco puzzle. They're all on my videos.
I'll be right back. I'll keep going.
So, I don't know what else to tell you if you don't get it. And initially, was it Brian Zinn and what's the other fellow's name? Brian and I can't think of it. Anyway, those two guys, they wanted to dig initially in this open area right here because they didn't have all the clues when they first went there. and they were very lucky that there was a wedding and there was some reception. Something was going on right here. So that's when they went around to the back. That's my understanding of how then they saw the steps in the back and the verse, and they put it together that it was in that back planter. And they had a narrow, I don't know how big, it's still a fair amount of digging back there. They were digging in the wrong spot. Why were they digging in the wrong spot? They didn't have all the clues. And I've been there, I don't know how many times, too many to count, where I've been digging, didn't have all the clues. That's why you need the back of the book.
I don't know, man.
Besides, and also, if you want to see the movie, it's kind of a weird movie, but it's on. You can get it on YouTube for free, and it's Bernice Bobs Her Hair.
What movie is it?
Bernice Bobs Her Hair, and that was based on a play by F. Scott Fitzgerald. But if you go to the back and you go to YouTube and you just type it in the search, and it'll pop up. You can see it.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is Bernice Bobs Her Hair was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, alluding in Bernice comes from Berenice too of Egypt, and she was a Greek queen. Where was that cast found? In the Greek Cultural Center. Now, I don't think all of this stuff, when you start putting these clues together, I don't think this is just coincidence. You got the evil necromancers, you got the 1920s garb, and in the mirror, looking in the mirror, Myra Kamira. And so anyway, hairstyles of the 20s.
Yeah.
Was bobbing the hair, roaring 20s.
Hey, Eric, I'm sorry, I got a boogie.
You gotta go, man. All right.
Yeah, I got boogie.
Have fun with your kids, man.
I'm not super helpful on St. Aug, except to share some ideas on bigger picture stuff.
Oh, here it is. Andy Abrams. I'm sorry, Andy. Andy Abrams and Brian Zinn.
Yeah, look at how closely the painting in Cleveland matches the spot
Correct.
where they found the box.
Correct.
Look at how closely the painting in Chicago matches where they found the box. Look at how closely
Correct.
the painting in Boston matches. Notice Boston has a lot of man-made sharp angles and what have you, because it's in the city. It's right there in the city. There's tons of buildings.
Well, that also goes back to the garden goyle, because that's African. And it tells you Saharan garden, which is an invention that African slaves brought to America. That's one of the Florida stories, but it also applies in Cleveland because that's what a rectangular plot is. That is a Saharan garden. So
I'm not disagreeing with that. You're probably right.
That's the crossover clue. Well, it's basically because the back of the book says no flower beds. Flower beds is right on the ground. If you mound dirt or you build a walled structure to grow something in, because in Africa, we know it's either jungle or desert. That's a Saharan garden. It's a place to grow food. Plus, you have Greek gardens, garden goyle. Garden is a key word that connects the two stories.
My last point for the night will be, look at how closely the paintings match where the boxes were found for the three found. This is my point when I was talking about New York City. It's extremely organic with a lot of open dead space where there's nothing. That implies water. So I'm saying, like, if you just look at the solved ones and how closely the paintings match the spot where they were found, it's not a stretch to believe the rest of the 9 boxes will also be in locations that match the look and feel of those paintings. And I think you break it down into 2 easy categories: man-made, organic, right? If you have a lot of man-made stuff, you're in the city, there's buildings nearby, fences, whatever. If you see something very organic, you're not, you're going to be in a place that's over water. There's not going to be a lot of man-made stuff, right? And so from a big picture standpoint, if you're painting, if your box location matches the painting, you're in great shape. If it doesn't, you're in really, really bad shape because the other found boxes look like the painting where they were found. Why would he now all of a sudden in these other paintings just, well, it's in the middle of the city, but I'm going to paint something that doesn't look anything like the city. It has no sharp angles. We're talking about probabilities. If your location doesn't match the look and feel of the painting, it's wrong. That's a very safe statement.
Right.
If it does, by contrast,
but it just doesn't
you're
work
in
like
great
that.
shape. It does, Eric. The three
dig
found
spot-
boxes.
Yeah, but
The
that
three
was
found
only,
boxes look like the paintings.
It was only in those 3 paintings. You don't
No.
have that dig spot
No.
imagery in any others.
And here,
Now
here's
you
my-
can
found
assume
boxes.
you could assume they do, but from my experience of 9 years doing this book, they don't.
You're in the wrong
They
spot
don't.
then.
You have to find.
I hate to say that, but your
not.
box location should match the painting. I've shown you that in San Francisco.
Nope.
I've shown you that in Charleston.
In New York, Byron's using Joe Ellen's dolls of a husband, and bride, and a groom to take you right to the wedding garden, which does have an arch.
Is the painting organic or man-made?
Slender path, but there's no imagery of that wedding garden in the painting.
Is the painting organic or man-made in New York?
It's got to be man-made.
It's man-made.
It's not.
It is.
There's no man-made shapes in the New York painting.
You're seeing atoms. You're seeing eggs. You're seeing
It's a city.
a Greek goddess, the Statue of Liberty's
the painting
face.
looks nothing like a cityscape at all.
Well, now,
It's all organic. Look at it.
It's got to be in a park. A park is an open green area.
Yeah.
So
There's a
there you go.
ton of empty space, which means you're looking out over water.
You got New York,
you have
got
to
to
find
figure
a
out which
place.
borough of New York, and it's showing you imagery of Manhattan, the courthouse of Manhattan, the World Trade Center.
If you're in the middle of the city, your painting, the painting and your box location are a complete mismatch.
Nope.
That does not flow with the 3 found boxes.
Nope. And the wedding garden, at the Civic Center, which is right off Chinatown, and imagery of Chinatown is shown too. The Chinese is part of the New York puzzle as well.
At a very high level, at a very basic level.
In New York.
Is it man-made or is it organic? That's all you have to answer. And that can tell you what type of location you should be at. Because the other 3 found boxes match that. They look like the spots the boxes were found look like the painting.
And that's only in those 3.
Well,
there's no sense to make 12 puzzles and do them all alike. They use simple.
So he's going to paint. He's going to make a painting that looks nothing like where the box was found.
Exactly.
No,
because you're not.
Then why have the painting?
You're not solving anything with just
so you're not putting in the misdirection. When JJP had that meetup, he kept saying misdirection. You never put any misdirection in. You think it's
the look and feel of the box location should match the painting. I stand by.
But there's going to be different misdirections in there. Not every time is the same thing going to be a misdirection.
3 found boxes match the look and feel.
And Brian Zinn worked the Cleveland puzzle for I think over a decade.
Go pull that up. Pull up a shot of where that box was found and the painting, and look at how
over a decade before he found a guy that figured it out.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yep. All right, guys, listen. Have a great night.
All right, everybody.
Running away again.
Don't forget to look at this, Mark.
Running away again, this guy.
Yeah, he is, and I wanted to show him the Boston localization.
If it was that easy, they'd all been solved.
He's like annoyed.
Byron said in an interview, some of them may never be found. And I've said this on multiple podcasts. I think Byron stopped the mail and solve because in '83, all you needed was this back part of the book. This is all you had to fit. You filled this out and you sent this to Byron. And he's telling you, and he was getting so many of these. I guarantee you that's why he was way over the secret by then.
Well,
He was probably like reading absolute nonsense being sent to him.
Right.
Him realizing nobody was using the book, and he said, "I'm not opening any more of these letters. I have stopped the mail and solve." And I think at that moment he was done with the book.
You see a lot of superficial. This looks like that in the art, in the painting. This looks like that. Yeah. Therefore, it is. No.
Yeah, and crazy pareidolia going around. Like I see Teddy's face.
You have to put all the clues together, and then if they all fit together, they all come together. Hey, guess what? You got a good shot. It doesn't guarantee you.
Yeah. It's keywords. Yeah. Illusion is simple keywords.
Keywords and illusions.
So I was going to read this in the Warner von Brownie. This is how you're looking in here, and there's a connect. So when you read all this stuff, nuclear family, fairies, 13 colonies, Geiger counters, all this nuclear, it says the nuclear family of fairies. That's the nuclear age. So when you get down to the bottom of the history, it says, as anyone who has ever seen an obscene word spelled out in letters of fire, backyard barbecue, 200, there's another 200, Milwaukee, feet, tall, Milwaukee verse, the word tall. 200 and tall are both in the Milwaukee verse. So there's a clue to this. And then when you go there, what do you find out about nuclear and bombs bursting in the air? Some of this is Cornwall and the Revolutionary War, Frog and Teddy. Teddy also has a connection to you have to take Teddy. He's a frog. He's wearing a Puritan hat. He's got a buckskin jacket, and he's a frog with Teddy Roosevelt's face. There's four clues Joe Ellen put on one puppet. So Teddy was shot in a car, giving a campaign speech in Milwaukee when he was trying to run for president again.
Yep.
But 200 feet tall, there's all the keywords of the verse. So right here, you just basically scan over and you go Milwaukee. Program, computer, fireballs. What do the fireballs have to do with anything? Got to go to the glitches and check for clues there. You got to sit here and go through all of this stuff. You can't leave any of this stuff out. And you'll see, so many times I've went, that's where it is. That's where it is. And I went there and I'm like, there's nothing. Visually and using everything in my mind, there's nothing. I always said the same thing. My buddy, the other admin on the Facebook page, he's like, why didn't you find it? I said, because I missed something. My wife sitting right there, she could tell you. It's like, you didn't find it again? I was like, no, I missed something. Had to keep coming back to the book and going, there's something else. There's something else that I missed. And that's exactly what I wish at the beginning I'd have written down, you start with the fairy, like St. Augustine. In the book, it starts on 78 with the garden goal, which is African. So I already know I got Spanish and African. And then it goes on. If you're just doing the St. Augustine puzzle, and then I look at the second Florida story, Warner von Brownie. Okay, so that's Chinese and German. So now we have Spanish, African, Chinese, and German. There's two pair. That's four fairies. What do they have to do with anything? What's German about St. Augustine? Oh, well, it was built by the Spanish, but Henry Flagler and his railroad turned it into a tourist trap. You look at Henry Flagler. He used to be in the oil business before he got out of that and wanted to basically develop Florida.
Hey, there's a St. Augustine in Germany too. So
yeah. And you got to go to the history. So is there a prominent German? And then it mentions Warner von Brownie. He was a composer. He did the Ring of the Nibelungen. He did plays. Paul Green. He was also a German. He was of German descent, just like Flagler was. His ancestry, even though these people might have been born in America, like Abraham Lincoln. Born in America, but you go, where did his family come from? Oh, they came from England, in Chicago. Yeah. So Ulysses Grant, he was born in America. Yeah, what was he? And if people Scottish. Go, the
Irish, Scottish,
to Chicago, just look that Grant is the Irish Scottish fairy. He was a Scotsman. Told everybody he was a Scotsman. His grandmother was Irish. Abraham Lincoln.
He was also the first president to go to Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. And they made him honorary Irishman because he was already a Scotsman. But the Civil War is slavery. That's where the African ferry comes in. There's your 4 for Chicago. They didn't need them, but they're in the book for someone that had never been to Chicago. But you look at the Bowman statue in the painting. Okay, has nothing to do with the Civil War. It's something in downtown Chicago. It's a location clue. Someone in Chicago go, hey, that's downtown. Just like they went, hey, there's the water tower.
Grant is connected to the Native Americans.
Exactly.
With that Bowman statue.
Exactly. There was a part in Grant's history where he wasn't good to the black soldiers of the Union, and Abraham Lincoln had to jump on his butt.
Also, the Jews. We know. So Byron's going to know that history.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the 2 main things that surround Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation and the freeing of the slaves. Any history teacher will tell you that. In high school, you learn all about this. Who's his right-hand man? They are the end of the puzzle. At the end, you get to Grant Park, and it references over L's shoulder, who is Lincoln.
Well, and then you have in the image, you have Lincoln. It looks just like Lincoln, right? But that's the misdirection. It's actually Grant Park. That's the misdirection right there.
Exactly. You might go, oh, man, that looks like Abraham Lincoln. I know where his statue is. But without the rest of the story, but see, once they walk to the back, they go, hey, there's the fence. See, this is the way Mark thinks it works. You're going to come to a spot and go, hey, there's that damn lamppost.
Yeah, there's a misdirection. Boston, JJP thought it was Fenway Park. It was a regular baseball field in a park.
That's right.
That's misdirection.
JJP only knows what Byron let him know. Byron.
Yeah, sometimes he thought it was this and it was that.
Yeah.
Right.
This Masquerade is what The Secret of Treasure Hunt is based off of. And that book got ruined because Kit Williams' girlfriend knew where the puzzle was buried. And she sold it after they broke up. Byron didn't let anybody know. But it's a little bit of everybody involved in the book. It's a little bit of everybody's work all mixed together.
That's right.
And if you get stuck and you're like, I'm going through all the stories and I don't see anything from Kelly and Mann, I'm stuck. I see what JJP did. Let's start looking at what's in Ben Ason's photographs. These people, even back then, were there's a reason why, Palancar says, Byron gave him my start. Palancar had talent. There's a reason why he got him.
And JJP and Ben Ason said no overlays. I just had to say it. No overlays.
Yeah. So, if the book stories meant nothing, Byron would not have hired Sean Kelly and Ted Mann. These guys are professional writers. They are
and also Byron
in their field.
Byron had a very small budget. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like
he could have made up the stories themselves.
Overlays and all this stuff. Exactly. They don't match the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ben Ason, when I talked to him on the phone last, he said Byron gave him an option of just cash or I think a smaller amount of cash and a percentage of the book. And Ben said, I just took the money.
Good move.
But Ben is the only one that he did not, he got advised, like when he came to South Florida. That's the Unreal Estate Broker's photo. He's told us before on podcasts. Byron said, take this with you, find this, take a photo. That all has meaning. Take this from the courthouse steps. I want the World Trade Center in the background. They couldn't get it, so they went on the ferry.
Yeah.
A lot of that was around Jo Ellen, who knew a lot more because she signed an NDA. But her dolls, you got to look at her dolls. Look at what they're wearing. Look at what they represent. Anything like Teddy. Teddy's a great example. Why is he a frog? Yeah, I'll tell you what. At my spot at the Wedding Garden, okay, what was there before the Wedding Garden? Thomas Paine Park was there. It's about the Manhattan Project. So you have Thomas Paine, the pamphlet writer, the Revolutionary War, but you also had a Thomas Paine involved with the Manhattan Project. He was a scientist. Now, before Thomas Paine Park was there and the Indians were there, that was the home of the Collect Pond. That is why, and this is stuff Joe Ellen would have known. That's why Teddy's a frog, because frogs live in fresh water. And this is the big and small Collect Pond. The one is there north of Thomas Paine Park, but the one that's at where Foley Square is underneath there got polluted. So they just filled it in with rubble, because that area right there was not a good area in the early days in New York before it got turned into the court area. And when Byron said the cop came up on him and he had to hide in the leaves, that's exactly where he was, because you got the county court there, you got the federal building there, you got the Department of Immigration there, all bordering that park, and there's 24-hour security, and there sure as hell was in Manhattan in 1981.
I think the other one that he got caught up on was probably Montreal.
Yeah, I'm thinking Montreal or either Roanoke Island.
Like that's why he said ask for permission. You know what I mean? Because he almost got caught up on that.
Oh, I got something working on that, boy. I can't.
Well, that's why also like the due permission. That's definitely like, oh, I might have skirted the law on that one. You know what I mean?
And he says get permission to dig out, not dig out.
Yeah.
Now, dig out is like digging yourself out of a sticky situation.
Yeah. Like that one, don't go for. I mean, he messed up on that one. He put it somewhere risky.
Yeah.
And if he would have put it somewhere risky, in the other parts, he would have said so.
Yep.
He would have said so in the thing if it would have been that risky.
Yeah.
So you need to look for places that are like skirting walking the line in between lawful and I might get away with this,
Yeah.
You got to be mindful.
And that's part of the reason, we always got to get this. If you're going to go out and explore, fill your holes in. Quit leaving evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting so old, and you stay in the book until you get a spot narrowed down. Some of these spots, you go down, you start hitting roots and stuff. Get out of there.
It's easy. It's easier than digging the hole you just dug. It's done. Use your foot.
There is an amount of work required for these puzzles, and a lot of people don't want to do it. And this was intentional by Byron. I don't think Byron ever figured that a lot of, look at Chicago. At first, when they got there, they couldn't find it.
Yeah, 6 months.
Two of the puzzles here, they found it, thank God, but they had to have help from Byron with the photograph.
Yeah.
Excavator destroyed it in Boston. And I believe because of the dig spot, in the story, I've been thinking about this for weeks. I think the easiest one was Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
and because the dig spot was easy, it's in the planner. I think Chicago is second, and Boston is third, and that's from easy. That's the, and I don't know if there's, I don't know if there's an easy, moderate, hard, and extreme. 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3 to make 12. Or if it's 4,
that would make sense.
4.
That would make sense. That or 4 and 4.
I don't know if the Boston one would still be there or not if they hadn't gone in there and dug it up with a backhoe. Because
100%. That guy took a risk. That guy took a chance. He put his coin in the jackpot machine and ching, ching, ching.
Yeah.
He just inquired. That's all. And then Expedition Unknown. Even though I love you guys, he filled in the blanks because you can't really explain it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where is he?
Yeah, the story ain't hard. I think somebody local would have figured that easy. I mean, with all the Paul Revere crap, that's North Boston. Italian immigration in the 1920s. Was North Boston.
I don't buy that the guy in the excavator knew exactly where he dug that up. The exact spot.
I had the Boston.
I'm still trying to find that guy. I will contact him when I find him. I got someone looking.
Well, okay, they say his name in that second episode. They say the construction company and his name.
Oh,
You
really?
can find him. Yep. Second episode.
Yeah, I just want to ask
Well,
him
no, no, it's the third
where did he
episode with the
just
Boston
dig?
thing.
Where
Third.
did he just dig when he saw a piece of the plexiglass? Because
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
it's in the catcher's box, because even the catcher's box is 8 feet. You know, puzzle 8 feet. The batter's boxes are 8 feet.
Well,
it was behind home plate.
I got a picture on Google that shows that they were actually on the opposite side of that fence on that month they found it. Opposite side of that field, on the one closer to the thing. That they were digging that one up first when they found it.
Really?
And then months later, when the other one was dug up, oh, this is the new spot. So I don't know.
I think from what I see in the back of the book, it was 3 feet away from home plate. And you can see the actual shadow of the batter right here, can't you?
I think it had to be near the batter's box.
Can you see the shadow of
front.
the batter right here?
Yeah.
And
in the book, it mentions home and catcher and umpire.
It says feel at home. Well, guess what? This is a heel at home.
And the thing is, he wouldn't have put it in a place where somebody was going to like run on the field and trip on it. You know what I mean? It had to be behind where, it was safe relatively. You know
I saw a show the other day where it was, I forgot what it was about, but the guys were, it's funny because I thought it had something to do with The Secret for a second, but I didn't know where they were. But the guy was talking about somebody had dug on the baseball field, dug a hole, and the grounds guys noticed it. And he walks over and he goes, "Who the hell dug a hole here?" And he goes, so they started digging the hole up to see what the hell they were digging for. And I said, I wonder if that is that show, which it was right at the end. I wonder if that's in any of the cities of The Secret.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, they were out like between home plate and the pitcher's mound. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Man, somebody dug a big damn hole out here." but I never was able to catch like what it was about. But they actually dig the hole out. They go, why the hell would, and the guy's going, "Why the hell would somebody dig out here? We got to repair this."
Yeah.
And he's telling the guy to go get more clay and crap. And I said, that's why Byron didn't bury it out in front of home plate.
There are groups of hunters that go through New York digging up baseball fields.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We know where they're getting that crap from.
Again, they're digging without all the clues, and they're. I mean,
they told me why they're digging. They said that the Boston puzzle tells you that it's in a baseball field in the New York puzzle, which makes no sense.
No,
you know what I mean. No.
Well, they go that shape in the New York.
These are some of the top trolls too that think that this is correct, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's not in a baseball field in New York.
There is so many individual stories of each puzzle. Some of them don't have, and you have to look at them and you go like, you'll go Seloy. Okay, Seloy's St. Augustine. That's where his Timuquanan tribe was. Yes. That's at the Fountain of Youth. It was when Byron was there. And then you go there and you go, but if you read the rest of the book, you go, "Oh, hey, Mr. Frazier, was this private property in 1981, 82? Yeah, it was. Okay, this place is out." So you keep going in the book and you keep looking for something else.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, it starts African. So you're looking, okay, what's the African history of St. Augustine, Florida? And take off. What's the German? Who's a famous German in St. Augustine history? You'll see Flagler. You'll see a few other people. Follow that history. That's what you got to do. It's what a lot of people don't want to do.
Flagler's a big deal.
And
Flagler's huge. His railroad still runs right next to A1A today.
I mean, that's how you can't say it's anything besides St. Augustine. I don't understand anybody.
Right. And Flagler, he's got to connect. See, Flagler came down here when his wife was sick, so he had to be a snowbird down in Jacksonville, but he didn't want to be in Jacksonville. He wanted to be in St. Augustine, but his wife couldn't take that buggy horse ride. That's what gave him the whole idea about running the railroad. He said, "Look at all this place out here ain't even developed." Then when he ran the railroad to St. Augustine, I mean, that's why Flagler College is named after him. There's
right.
numerous places in St. Augustine named after him. St. Augustine would not be what it is today without him.
That's right.
And people know that. They know that history down there, and that's Henry Flagler. And then when you go, well, Flagler, this is what people aren't doing. Well, Henry Flagler, where was he born? It doesn't matter where he was born here. He is obviously born here.
Yeah.
He's a New Yorker. He's another New York clue, just like the Werner von Brownie is connected to New York. His family comes from Germany. That's what's important.
Well, and Flagler comes from New York, right? Just like Byron would come from New York and he travels down to Florida. It's this, you know, exactly. What I mean? He's taking his journey. Yeah, the history connects. You know?
With the history of the secret book, Byron Price, who was born in Brooklyn, New York, and had his business in New York, died in New York. He has a connection to St. Augustine, Florida, because of this book and his history.
That's right.
Then you look at where his family. Where did Byron's family come from? They were German Jews. Yeah, there's a lot of remember years ago somebody goes, all this Germany Nazi crap wouldn't be in here. Byron. Yeah, he would. And Byron was a history teacher.
Well,
none of this stuff is taboo. Yeah. He even talks about Ben Franklin's sexual exploits. In this book.
I mean, people talk about Prussia. But back then, Germany, Russia, and Prussia were all like mixed together. You know what I mean? So that takes care of the thing in New York, where it's
Daniel Lewis in the comments says you're looking for a black African man for St. Augustine. Yeah, you are. The civil rights. Look at where all this stuff took place. Not very far from the fort. Not very far from Ansage Island. The whole place is Spanish. The German guy's been around there too. The African and just imagine you're standing there going, where the hell's the African ferry? There he is. The Woolworth store. There's a monument where MLK came from the old Monsoon Hotel. It's been redone, but they kept part of it from the original. The pool used to be here. Hey, there's a Spanish fort down the street. Where's the German? Where's the religion? Religion's a big part of it. That's also religion landed in the New World. Not just the Spanish. They bring religion with them. But what you're focusing on are the ferries, the original 12. Sometimes you're going to have all 12 ferries there, and I think most of the puzzle you do. Another thing I can just say, Chuck, if you bring the painting back up again. Look at the colors in there. So the wheel,
St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the wheel covering the fort on the flag is the wheels in the Milwaukee painting connected to Milwaukee. It's also purple, which is a reference to the purple amethyst. How the hell is that? In the Litany of Jewels. Pay attention to the colors, because this is right here. So dwarves treasure purple amethyst imperial star of Germany. So we know the German ferry is Milwaukee. Purple. There's the color purple in the St. Augustine painting, along with the wheel that's in the Milwaukee painting. So you got the color of Germany and the wheel of Milwaukee both right there. And you have other colors there. The Russian prize, let's see, the ruby out of Araby for Houston. Scarlet is desert side. So ruby is a color, scarlet is a color. The ruby's red. And the color scarlet is red. Aquamarine, you got England. That's the Roanoke one. Garnet, that color's in the painting. You got the green emerald, that's in the cold morning green. You have green in the verse, and then you have Paul Green and green picket fences. Green, 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 green. All these clues. St. Augustine was known for having green picket fences. And I think it's not an actual green picket fence at the dig spot. If you're outside St. Augustine, you're not behind any of them. You got to get in the city to be behind them. It's just another clue to St. Augustine. Sapphire, shy as a wild field flower. Okay, wild field flower. So the Garden Goal talks about planters, but this is saying field flower. That would be a flower bed. This would be a wild field flower would be a flower growing right out of the grounds, and that is a flower bed, not a planter. That is explained in the history and also in the back of the book when it talks about no flower beds. Of course, not flower beds, because flower beds are not planters. You'd have to do research even on that, which I did.
Yep.
And I said, what do the Africans have to do with a box planter? And I found a thing where they said it, and it's basically you have to control. If you live in Africa, it's jungle and bugs. So if you plant something in the ground and you want to grow food in it or in the desert floor, you're not going to grow anything. Hence the Sam Kennison. We're going to take you out of here and take you to where the food is. See this? This is sand. Nothing grows here.
Wow.
That's what it is. So you got to make your own. You got to make your own environment for growing vegetables. So then, when you look at the Garden Goal, it's a stock of corn, and that connects to Fort Moss, which got rebuilt. They rebuilt that. I can't wait to go down there. African slaves during the Revolutionary War in the 13 colonies were coming down to St. Augustine to be free because they didn't allow slavery. Fort Moss is where all the Africans were placed, and this is the early history of St. Augustine, and they taught them how to grow crops. And one of the big crops they grew was corn. Hence the imagery of Joellen's doll, which is it's a fairy that looks like a big piece of corn. That's what he is. That's how you connect it. And you got to use all these clues of everybody, the illustrators, the painters, the writers, the photographer. You got to use it all. If you're stuck on a clue, start looking at the photos that connect directly to the stories that you're using for whatever particular puzzle you're using. Because the backgrounds of those photos or something in the photos, which are usually the dolls, there's something very important. Yeah. It's like what you're talking about earlier, Chuck. You look at the vampire girl. She's got vampire teeth. There's your vampire clue. It's another monster of the secret. You already got the witch and the werewolf mixed with the Tupperware. Werewolf. Godzilla's mentioned. Godzilla was funny. I saw a documentary about Godzilla, and I was like, well, that'd be used for New York, because I found it mentioned in the book. So Godzilla was based on, his look was based on what victims of the atomic bomb drop of Hiroshima looked like.
Yep.
Directly connecting Godzilla to the Manhattan Project and the United States dropping the bomb on Japan. Right. And I didn't know that. And supposedly he came from the radiation fallout or whatever the hell he was before he became Godzilla. But he's a direct result of the bomb drops on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Let's see what everybody's saying. Ubiquitous. Picket is another word for soldier.
That's true.
That's right.
Yep, I brought that up on a previous.
And also picket can be used because during the civil rights movement, a lot of people were standing in downtown St. Augustine with picket signs, picketing for equal rights.
Yep. Picket
or a picket line on a battlefield. Tall grass.
But you got to find where soldiers were. You can't look for. You're not going to find soldiers standing around that were standing around in 1981.
Yeah. Someone said Tupperware headquarters in Orlando. Yeah, follow Tupperware. Who actually Tupper was the guy's last name that invented it. New York is 100% Astor Levy Park. The woman is literally levitating. Let's see. He took a silver meteor to St. Augustine. But there's so many. The biggest problem, and this is the biggest problem with The Secret, is people find one clue. Like in St. Augustine, has always been the Seloy and the Fountain of Youth. And that's one of the puzzles, unfortunately, where everybody had good intentions, but that was one where Expedition Unknown and their producers, I was told this personally, said people did not know what they were talking about. It's a long, long story. And I still don't know. I don't even know. Did Brian Zinn ever do an interview on how he got to? He didn't do a Josh Gates episode about Cleveland, did he?
Yeah, kind of. They touched on that, and they talked about I forget his name. That the real guy who thought it up, and he just jumped into it. I think with permission.
Was that Cleveland too?
Yeah. That was Cleveland. I think Johan gave it to him. I don't know if he gave it to him or they're on the same team.
Okay, yeah.
But Johan is the guy who figured it out, not Brian Zinn. Brian Zinn got it, but Johan figured it out.
Is that the same guy that figured out Boston too?
He got close on that St. Louis thing. That was Johan too, where Byron was like, "Not that you're in the wrong city, but it's St. Louis." You know what I mean? That thing. So Johan had twice
the St. Loud crap.
Johan did a couple interviews.
St. Loud. They were St. Louis was pronounced St. Loud.
Now I heard that Johan was open for interviews if you can find him, but they haven't interviewed him in a long time, which makes no sense to me. Because if he figured out one of them, you'd think that you'd want to talk to him a lot, right? Yeah. What do I know?
Yeah,
they're. If we could find Johan, that would be awesome. Are you out there, Johan?
Did you ever get a hold of that Boston guy again?
No, but I will. I'll keep trying. I don't think he knows my number and keeps hanging up on me, so I'll keep trying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'd like to
I do the same thing if I don't know the number, So
I had to do a Boston thing with him. Yeah, I would have liked to have done that last month, but I don't know. A lot of people don't want to come on the podcast. If you're on the page, you want to come on the podcast, and you got to be through the Facebook page. You should look at the price. Look at the Price Barbershop in St. Augustine, and that little area in front of it. The barber shop is also in the book. Okay, that comes from TikTok. I don't know who any of these people are. Daniel Lewis.
Could the backyard barber creep be related to the Florida puzzle?
Oh yeah, man. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't remember. Yeah, because see in Houston, you got okay. So you got Fortress North, and then in the verse, and then you have a fortress covered up in the painting. I don't think Byron intentionally wanted to hide. I think the fortress was probably just making it too easy that it was St. Augustine. So he put something over it. Because if he wanted to really cover it up, he would have covered up the whole thing. We would have never even seen the tip sticking out. But the thing is, my spot with the Battle of Sabin Pass and Herman Park and the statue of Major Dick Dowling, Houston would connect to St. Augustine because September 8th was the Battle of Sabin Pass and the founding of St. Augustine. But one in 1565 and the other in 1863. The same exact date, September 8th. So that's one way they would connect. The Energini would connect. Richard Dowling was founder of the first oil company in Houston. That's why he's part of the Energini. Henry Flagler was in Standard Oil before he got out of that to come down to Florida and run the railroad and develop it. The backyard barber creep. One thing about the backyard barber creep is that every city has had a major fire, including Jacksonville.
Yeah, I looked that up. That's pretty funny.
And that's ubiquitous. So that doesn't really help you.
There's a slew of them.
And it's funny for Houston because this is like a two-sided trick. So you go, did Houston ever have a major fire? Now they got all kinds of fire problems because they're basically they have desert-like conditions. It's very dry. So even today they have city ordinances about you can't be outside barbecuing certain times of the year. Like when we get it here, like, but we don't get it as much as they do. Sometimes when we get real dry here in Florida, I got 2 fire pits on my property, and they'll say no burning because you can, as long as you got a walled in fire pit. Because I get a lot of tree debris because I got live oaks and stuff.
Yeah.
They'll tell you on the news, don't burn, because there's guys in the watchtowers, and there's one about 5 miles to the west of me. I'm pretty close to the beach, but if they see smoke, they call it in. Next thing you know, you got the fire department showing up at their house. But
well, at least you got professionals to put it out.
Oh yeah, they came out here one day and made me do it. I said, "Can I borrow the fire? Let me use your hose." That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But St. Augustine had a fire. But when you look at Houston, their big major fire was the Texas City fire. It was like a port fire. But when you go, Texas City ain't Houston. But when you look, Texas City is actually part of Metro Houston.
Right.
I
started going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So Dick Dowling was a founding member of the first fire department, Fire Engine 1. And he was also in the Civil War. And then when you look at the Backyard Barbecue and all the bar connections and the alcohol and all that stuff, he is his bar Boca is still in Houston, Texas today. He was when his family immigrated from Ireland, I think because of the potato famine, to New Orleans. As he grew up, his first it's kind of like Mark Twain. His first real experience before he got involved in the military was he was in the bar industry. And like the 982 train, which was sold to the Louisiana Texas Railroad, and it ran from New Orleans to Houston to Galveston to Sabine Pass. Dick Dowling immigrated from Ireland to New Orleans to Houston, then was at the Battle of Sabine Pass. So the train and him at 2 different points in history, they've chewed the same dirt in history, been to the same places. And of course, they're both immortalized in the same park. The train has now since been moved in 43 years. And because of cancel culture, Dick Dowling's roads, school, and his statue was moved from the southern entrance of Herman Park. Now, if you're standing there, if you take the verse to Houston, this is a great example. So you're standing there looking at the statue, and it says, "Standing at Treasure Ground." There's a spout because you got to park up in the park and walk down to this. There's no parking there. So you pass the spout, you pass the train, you pass the zoo. So it says there's a spout. You know that because you already passed it. Then it says a whistle sounds because you could hear it. 3-Winged and Slight is right across the street. There's a 3-winged hospital. Slight references something that's poorly made. But you see all the small of scale, all these, there are a lot of architecture and stuff. And you see the columns in there, the Greek columns next to the car. Then you got, in the book, you got Buckmeister Fuller. So he's got history in Houston, New York, Chicago, Montreal, the 76 Expo. You just keep following. It's not really a rabbit hole. It's just like you're following a string of history. And then you go, man, it goes here and here and here. And yeah, you're going to have to go on all 3. How far does this, string
you're not going to
solve
it? You're probably not going to solve these without the history.
You got to, because see, when you go to the back of the book and just imagine,
at least some of it
says, "I have found the treasure cask and I enclosed the key." 2 says, "I think I've found the treasure site, but the treasure is missing. I think that's a clue to one puzzle." Or I have determined the site of treasure, but I'm not able to explore it because I'm in Thailand and I don't have the money to travel to Chicago.
Yeah.
But Byron basically says to everybody, and I've went over this before. He says, Byron wants to know, this is how you determine the location of treasure using clues in The Secret.
Yeah.
This is the secret.
Yeah.
Like, if Mark watches this later, it doesn't say painting, Mark. It says The Secret. And then Byron says, describe precisely the exact site of the treasure. This is where I'd have to go. My side of the treasure is the statue of Major Dick Dowling at the southern end of Herman Park, because one, the fire department. He was a member of the founding fire department in Backyard Barbecue Creek. Two, the drinking in the bar of Boca in the Civil War, Battle of Sabin Pass. Oh yeah, this has. I would fill this out and have to attach a sheet and everything. But how he attached to the Backyard Barbecue Creek, he is. You're looking for the descendants of the ferry. So if Major Dick Dowling was standing there and I said, the ferries represent the countries, okay? All you people of history standing here, who is the leprechaun man? Someone from Ireland's going to go, me. I am the leprechaun man, because the leprechaun comes from Ireland. And this is also how he connects to Milwaukee, because they have a mill wheel, and there's a part in the book where it talks about the Dingle Peninsula. I mean, specific locations. He was from Milltown, Ireland. Through the wood, no lion fears. No lion fears is a Wizard of Oz reference that takes you from Houston to Roanoke. And through the wood is exactly what the saw blade of the saw at a mill town does. Wood. It's a mill. It's a wood mill. Boards, whatever, construction material, smaller scale, everything else. And you have these topics, man. Someone that just started a book: architecture, the arts, painting, writing. Like in the Cleveland verse, when everybody always thought that from right to left was the wrong side of the wall. Byron got it should have been left to right. No, you look at the key words in that verse. It's that Pacific puzzle, and all those verse terms are talking about writing. It's talking about, nope, that ain't it. Which one?
Well, yeah, see, they're trying to make it work the way they think it works.
Yeah. Right. And I made notes here. From right to left is early days of writing. Before everybody today writes left to right. Back in the day, especially when you look at Arabic, everything is right to left. Arabic's one of the oldest languages out there. And you go to a lot of those countries over there, and you look like a price tag with like an egg and a dot. An egg means 5, a dot means 0, a 1's a 1, a Y's a 3, because I lived in those countries. But you read it, if you see a 5 ... that's 5 dinar. 5.
Well, and also
egg is 5, dots are zeros. But you read it from right to left, not 005.
And also that's a misdirection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's misdirection in this.
And you got the beneath the 9th row of the top, small bricks, 7 steps. So there's the 7 steps in writing. And then when you look at Socrates, Pindar, Apelles, you got a painter, a poet, and Socrates didn't really. What was in his mind came out. He wasn't really a writer. Other people wrote down what he said.
Yeah, because they killed him.
Yeah, free speech, Culpit, Birch. These are all writing references. Seek the columns for your search. Columns like columns in a newspaper, but also columns that are on the Greek garden wall.
Yeah.
But everything in here, that's why I think that Cleveland's the easiest, because it's all Greek, Greek, Greek. But what it's really about in the book, the garden goal is about the gardens you make to grow vegetables. Cleveland, the Greek gardens are a different kind of gardens. These are like entertainment gardens with bushes and flowers you walk through.
Well, also, JJP knew where this one was when he painted it. That's a difference. That would make it easier.
Yeah.
Because he suggested this place.
I got so many side notes for Cleveland. So the Liberty Bell that Brian's in, it made him go to Philly.
Misdirection. Right there.
The Liberty Bell never visited New York. It visited Boston in 1895 and 1915 to promote Philly. It was in
Yeah.
St. Louis in 1904, Boston 1903.
JJP confirmed that was a misdirection. That Liberty thing to
Yeah.
make you think it was in Philadelphia. He confirmed that.
It was escorted to Bunker Hill. I don't even know what I wrote right there. It was in, and you're following the Liberty Bells, taking you to a lot of the cities of the secret. It was in for the India Cotton Expo in 1885. I think that's the same one Teddy Roosevelt was at. It was there. It was in Charleston in 1904 and 1902. It was in San Francisco for the July 1915 Panama Pacific Expo. It stopped in Beaumont and Houston, Texas on its way back from San Francisco. Of course, it was in Chicago for the 1893 Columbian Expo. But it's basically just writing 101. Liberty Bell traveled to Cleveland April 27th, 1893 on its way to Chicago.
See that? That's crazy.
And the equestrian. So equestrian team from Chicago came to escort it from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And equestrian is what? Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the Plain Dealer newspaper imagery is in the tail of the horse. You gotta have to look up the Plain Dealer newspaper. That's another newspaper that's featured. Palancar would have known that because he was from there.
Yeah.
So you got the record in the St. Augustine painting, the St. Augustine record, Plain Dealer. Plain Dealer was a P and D, but it was 3-dimensional and it had lines, just like that are in the tail. That's it. That's if he just used it. But see, someone in Cleveland probably would have seen that. But I mean, you got Columns newspaper, ancient Rome structure. That's ancient Greek newspapers were basically written in columns.
Yeah.
But it's just everything in there is just a bunch of stuff that Cleveland, it's all about a lot of the story and stuff. It's about writings in the gardens. And it uses the Italian gardens, but it is Greek and it uses imagery to Greek gardens and some imagery in the painting of the Italian gardens, which is right next door. But it's a different kind of garden. You got a vegetable, fruit garden. The Elizabethan gardens is that kind of garden like the Greek gardens. It's to walk through, to visit your back in the day. That was the skating rink, or that was the
cultural gardens.
Stand. Yeah,
the cultural gardens also have major important Jewish history. The first garden was Jewish, so it has something that attracts Byron to it because the psychological behind there. Jewish people are very proud of their history. It's in there. You know what I mean? It's in the book. It's in the secret.
Yeah. Jewish is a massive part of one puzzle. That's the end. It's a prover. Not the dig spot, but the immediate area. That's
I agree.
That's something that will shock a lot of people. But there's like a Jewish in the early days of America. There's a Jewish haven, and that also has a lot to do with. There's parks named after certain people that have a lot of things in them that are Jewish for a reason. Because a lot of the stuff in these parks, like Brink Davis was messaging me earlier about New Orleans. And I said, so if you look at New Orleans and you look at that puzzle, it's pretty simple. This is one of the easier ones. And it's just like that. Just like Brian's Inn and the Liberty Bell in Cleveland makes you want to go to Philly. Well, the Ben Franklin makes you want to go to Philly. But the Post Monster General is Ben Franklin. Just like the Werner von Browning is Werner von Braun. And when you look at Lafayette Square in New Orleans, there's a reason Ben Franklin's relationship with Admiral Lafayette during the Revolutionary War is why Benjamin Franklin's statue is in Lafayette Square, a park named after the French Admiral Lafayette, because of his contribution to the Civil War. That's the first factor that leads you to the correct park in New Orleans. And it's in the book, and that's 100% accurate. Now, I always thought it was in the planter because there's a planter around it. The garden goal says planter. I always thought that, but just because it leads you to what I figured out since then, and that was even, I think, last year when we did New Orleans, is that doesn't necessarily mean that's the spot. Now you got to go look at other stuff that's in that park because JJP said to look around. And I got to go, okay, who's this guy? And let me find him in the book. Where's he from? What? Oh, he's Russian. Let me look at the Russian story. See if I can find out anything about this guy. Like, for example, if you use Charleston and you see George Washington, and say you knew nothing about George Washington. Some people do. Some people never went to high school. They never passed history.
Yeah.
You know, if I sat here with you guys and I went, someone in history was a president, and you can go, okay, there's 47 of them. And he had a sweet tooth, and he had bad teeth, and he chopped down a cherry tree. Someone just going to go, George Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could say, this guy was a president.
Then you got to say though, that chop down the cherry tree was a myth because it was.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find that out too. But the story was he was trying to eat the cherries, and his stepdad or dad wouldn't let him, so he got mad and he grabbed an axe, went out there and hacked it down. But it was a made up story.
Psychopath.
But eventually, you get enough clues, like everything you see that says Washington D.C. in the secret book has to do with a government official. There's nothing buried in D.C. D.C. is more a clue that you're looking for a president.
Yeah.
A president of the United States. Because that's, like when you find out in the early days. So George Washington never stayed in the White House, but he commissioned it to be built. He's mentioned, and so is the White House in Charleston. Major clue.
That's major. It's major.
So John Adams.
George Washington is important.
John Adams was the second president of the United States. And the White House was two separate buildings that were in Philadelphia. I never knew that. Philadelphia is where what they called the executive mansion and palace. We know where that palace word is in the verse.
I know why he didn't go to Philadelphia. He didn't go to Philadelphia because Philadelphia is still crazy like it was in 1981. Beware of Philadelphia. It's crazy there.
Yeah,
just like Sunny in Philadelphia, that show. It's true. Okay.
It makes it so easy to find your New York park just looking at the time. The time before Rudy Giuliani, when New York, basically every park, you didn't go into Central Park, all these places, that time of year, 81, 82, 79, drugs exploded. You didn't go into any of those parks, any of them. Subways. There was only one park in Manhattan that was pretty much secure. And that's where the courts were. And I think that's why Byron used it. And I think that's why if Byron went out there in the middle of the night, he couldn't go out there during the day, but that's where I think he was.
My park too was quiet at night.
Yeah. But I asked this one guy, he was some new.
That's New important. The park has to be accessible. You know what I mean?
Crime and Needles, most part, they were all just called, the guy said he remembers at one point every park was just called Needle Park, but nobody went to any of them. Central Park, you get your ass robbed in.
Well, I will tell you that those guys hanging out in those parks would be weary of a white dude carrying a shovel around digging holes.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you. I grew up in the inner city. I was homeless. I'll tell you, they were afraid of me because I was in the cold carrying a big ass suitcase over my head. So with no jacket on, they are weary of stuff like that. So they would have stayed away from them. They would have talked about them too.
Yeah.
There's definitely witnesses out there.
Yeah.
But I believe I found one. I talked to somebody who believes that they might have seen something like that. But there's more. Somebody saw something.
I think Byron would have been mega careful with that. I mean, that would have ruined the whole thing if he Someone saw him bury it. I know he had to take.
I mean, if it was a homeless guy back then, there's a good chance, or a drug user, there's a good chance they're not with us anymore. And they're not going to tell anybody anyway, because they're like,
Byron's
they were like, he didn't bury me, so he buried somebody.
One cask is buried with a body because the guy
Yeah.
kind of gets, hey, you damn wino, King, get it, put him in the hole with it.
Well, some people think that the Charleston one is in the grip of the Indian guy at the base. What's the Seminole leader?
No, really.
At,
I always thought that, like, did he go to a, especially with the asking permission? I said, man, did he give it to somebody? And you got to go figure out who that is in the book. And then 43 years later, is this guy like, I'm retiring. If anybody ever comes in and wants this box, give it to him. that would be a cool ass twist on one puzzle.
That would be a cool twist, but I think they're probably in a park. Most likely in a park. I know a lot of people think they're in places that's not a park, but I don't think so.
No,
I think it's a public park.
They're not. They're absolutely not. Byron's alluded to parks in interviews. He said this is not a kid's book. He said he is hoping he's getting family. You can give it to your kid, but all they're going to do is they're going to come up and go, hey, Dad, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then most adults go, what the hell is this? I did the same thing. I remember when Josh Gates said this crap reads like confusing stereo instructions, and I was like, it does. And that's what made me go, all right, listen, if I'm going to make a book on this, and a lot of what's in the book is just made up stuff.
Well, he said it reads like instructions.
Yeah.
There you go.
But once you get familiar with the history and you start, I can look through a story now and go, I'll see something go, oh man, does that have something to do with that puzzle? And I know enough now. I can just scan through there and go, yep. And I'll see, watch this. I'll just flip to a page here. Okay. Damon Runyon. So, So you got imagery of gambling. We got aces. We got an ace card. Ace is high.
Yep.
We got dice. We got a betting sheet from Meadowlands, New Jersey. So Damon Runyon and Mark Twain were both writers. Damon Runyon was from New York, so there's one. Holiday Inn. We got Chicago, Miami, Tucson. Jumping contest of celebrated frogs. That's Mark Twain. Holiday Inn. There was Mark Twain had Holiday Inns. Actually, Mark Twain did a review on the chain of hotels that eventually became Holiday Inn.
No.
So you got a long shot in racing. You got keywords of draw, inside, straight, flush. So cards. So you got Lakers beat the spread, and I even wrote here LA red herring. He'll steer you to a sucker the morning after he's blown his roll. Just gambling, mafia, losing dons, one-arm bayonet, slot machine, trips. The Philly in the home stretch. Okay, there's baseball. Then you got pool, billiards. That's connected to Teen Angels, billiards. That imagery is shown. Then there's punt, New Jersey, sands of Vegas. River boats, the old Mississippi. Damon's biggest sting was the 1929, which is it's going to be the great stock market crash, and we know what was happening on that. They were trying to sell stocks and telling people you're going to make a lot of money. People invested their money and lost their ass. That's what happened in the Great Depression.
The 20s are a big thing in this too. The 20s, he loves that era.
Yep.
Byron loves the 20s.
He smells like cheap cigar smoke and bar rye, and plays his card on green felts. There's green. So we know. So if we go to the Damon Runyon in the back of the book, this is how I do it. French Riviera, Nevada. So Nevada's Las Vegas. French Riviera is where the first casino ever opened. It was in the French Riviera. And then you come modern day today. We got Vegas. We got Biloxi, Mississippi. We got Atlantic City. But the first casinos in North America were on the riverboats in New Orleans. So this is a clue to New Orleans and
That's right.
Mark Twain because of his riverboats. He also said that's where he learned how to gamble, play cards, play billiards, smoke cigars, was him working on the riverboats.
Right.
Hence the name Mark Twain. So basically, the Damon Runyon, that's your history, is the history of casinos. But where are they at? Where does this actually stick you? It sticks you in New Orleans because that's where the first one was back then. And they're still there today, I believe. There was one there in 95. So you just go through there and you're looking at all these 3-card money, old Snake Eyes. 1929, that was just basic gambling too. Why is the fat man weeping all night in a coffee shop? Where's that spotter tip imagery? Where's that at? There's an old man. Well, he ain't drinking coffee, but there's a fat man and the leprechaun man sitting at a bar. I mean, you could take this stuff anywhere. Seen riding a cab to the track, the bus back because he's broke. $2 show window, off beaten track, Chicago Commodities Exchange. So this also connects to Chicago. And that's probably a lot of the underground crap that had to do with the underworld mafia and stuff like that. New World, his first recorded act in the New World was the Greek Columbus. Told him about it was 7-5. 7-5 odds that he hit the Indies. Later gave Custer the same odds against the Sioux. I mean, it's gambling. It's all gambling. Don't think, but where does all that gambling history in America lead? If you did do the history, people go, "Oh man, I need to go to Las Vegas." Somebody might go to Atlantic City. Somebody in Biloxi, Mississippi, or today, like Seminole Hard Rock in South Florida. They might go, "Oh man, this is South Florida, just like Hemingway and the Native American tribe that's down there." But you go, and this basically is pointing to you to New Orleans. And then there's San Francisco clues to Mark Twain in this too. You got the ace.
Yeah.
You got a straight flush here, but the ace is the high card.
Yeah. Byron likes Mark Twain. He has lots of clues in this.
Actually, you know what? You don't even have it straight. You know what you got right here? That hand is actually just an ace high.
Yeah.
It's a straight. It's straight, but you don't have the straight flush.
Well, you know what my interpretation of that is? If you look at it, there's obviously 4 spades. The fifth, the number 5 is a club.
Mm-hmm.
And you
5
got
is Chicago.
You got 3, 4, 5. San Francisco and New York are both members of the 3-4-5 club. 3-4-5 is the right triangle, 3-4-5. If you go to the pool, he's got pool ball number 1 and number 12. That's for San Francisco and New York. And it's Teen Angels. It's the Angels is angles. It's wordplay. And in pool billiards, it's angles. It's all about the angles, shooting, the incident angles and all of that, and hitting the right angles on the balls and on the bumpers or felt, whatever you call it. So, if you put this, and he's got his legs crossed right there, 3 feet. He's giving you hints 3, 4, 5 feet on both of those puzzles is a right triangle, and to get an exact, you just find the reference point. And if you look at the shadow line, and I did this for San Francisco in my videos, the shadow is, you go 5 feet along the shadow line. And the shadow line is off of the Coit Tower water fountain.
Yeah. Well, the dice over here, like, New Orleans would be puzzle 12. So you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, the dice has got a 3, 4, 5 also. But more importantly, he's between two aces. An ace is one. It's a one die. It's the single dot.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a giant step from ace to place or ace to ace, place being the wordplay again, or typographical terror, you're taking a giant step. Where are you taking a giant step from? You're taking it from the base of the water fountain, and the giant step being 5 feet out along the shadow line. And if you look at the alibi elf, you can see the shadow line. If you look at there's the back of the very one of the last ones with the guy with the bag, high interest, not interest rate, the last one.
I know the one you're talking about.
I'll find it. You can see
The tax burden.
tax burden. Did you notice the eyes on those? And one has let me find it. Here we go. What's that right there? That's a 5. And that's at the foot pedal of the water fountain. You can see the fountain right here. Can you see that? The shaded area? Here's the base. Here's going up. And here's the basin. Right here, right down here, there's a 5. 5 feet. Again, it's a 3, 4, 5. Let me find the alibi elf I don't know. Let's see here. It's kind of.
Hey, Eric, I gotta go, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna get off here in about 9 minutes. I want to cut this to 3 hours, so we don't go any longer on these. But if you got to take off,
I'll stick around for 9 minutes. I think I could.
All right,
sneak that in.
Yeah, we're less than 8 minutes away.
I feel that. No, that's cool.
People have to watch these videos in stages, so they.
Yeah. No, I got to get up early in the morning, but light.
I have to too. My daughter's got job interviews, so big fun.
Okay, if you look at the alibi elf and you go through it, just step by step. You have Nixon. He's looking all the way down at this tiny little dot right here. And why is there a tiny dot? If you go through it, and I got all the video, it's got all the information on it. That dot is an ace, and it's on the shadow line. And it talks about all of this stuff. That's what he's showing you. Look at his shirt. There's an ace on his shirt.
Yep.
And you go down the shadow line to that little ace. You're taking a giant step. Here's the shadow line of that giant, what do you call it, mallet thing I don't know, the legal terminology.
And this is important for people that are new to the book because there's a lot of stuff to see, just like Chuck is showing you.
Here it is right here. The puzzle is about aces and shadows. San Francisco is a shadow puzzle. So is New York. I'm not going to talk about New York too much because that's going to give it all away. But
hey, I believe Charleston is too. They asked for a shadow.
It could be also Charleston. But if you look at San Francisco, and it tells you about the West Coast, it's a shapeshifter. What is it? What are shadows? They change shapes. It's a shapeshifter. And if you read through West Coast, it's about oil and water and smoke and fog and things that change shape.
Smog.
That's what the West Coast is being San Francisco, California. So West Coast is a shapeshifter, which is a shadow puzzle. And you take the shadow off that fountain. Yeah. And the time.
Anything you see ghosts, specter, these words are in there.
Yeah, and that's why there's a clock. That's why there's a time on these puzzles. You need a time, the shadow and the date, because that gives you when to look for the shadow. Yeah. But if you go to Alibi Elf and you look down, you see the shadow line running behind them. It's there. And you follow it all the way to the end. And that's that little dot. And you go from ace to ace.
And you see
to the place.
a gavel, which is somewhere else in the book. You see Richard Nixon. He's the
Nixon.
only president
Yep.
that was born in California. You see an African man. You look at the way he's dressed. That's early days. One guy's a judge. Use all of that. All right, just keep that stuff in mind as you come along and you go, wait a minute, this is, or you find something judgy or lawyer in the book, like
Yeah, there's
Alibi
Daniel
Elf.
Webster talks about, the Daniel Webster, the play, The Devil and Daniel Webster.
And you see a gavel, you see a, I think was Nixon a lawyer before he was president?
Yeah, and he was from California, and he used a lot of trickery to get elected. That's why
alibi. The word alibi, like a suspect had going to court. He's like, you're not going to charge me. I have an alibi.
Nixon.
All these things have something in common.
Yeah,
and there's because part of this is New York, and as legal aid, there's Mark's Arthur Van Briesen right there.
Oh God, the Van Briesen. There is only one 1920 mention of Van Briesen. If you look back, like the earliest is 2003, like the references, there is no 1981 references. You would have never found this information, even in New York, at the library.
I thought maybe because Teddy Roosevelt had to go to court. I thought maybe Arthur Van Briesen defended him, and no, he didn't. But he went to court. He went to court in Brooklyn.
Just because they're friends, like how could you even prove that? You know what I mean? Like how
he's making a Prussian connection. I understand how he's doing it. I just don't believe that's the way. I mean, Arthur Van Briesen Park. Arthur Van Briesen got ran out of everything in New York because he was a sympathizer for the Nazis. That's why there's nothing. Yeah. See, when I said earlier about Lafayette Square has Ben Franklin's statue there because of the relationship. That's why Arthur Van Briesen's Park has nothing in it because nobody wants to be associated with him because of the way he was. It's like, you damn Nazi, get the hell out of here.
Okay, so like I have a problem with these obscure local heroes. All right, he made a Japanese version. People in Japan are not going to know these obscure little references. The people in it have to be known.
The Japanese reader was going to focus on something that was widely popular, and they wanted to learn their history, which is basically the Chinese immigrated to San Francisco because of the gold rush, and when they got denied, getting a claim, and they got stuck in crappy jobs of cleaning shirts and laundries and prostitution. Eventually, the Chinese left, and then the Japanese came and replaced them.
Yeah,
and later, Angel Island and all the other Asian immigration did not occur on the East Coast of the United States. It occurred in San Francisco, West Coast, Angel Island.
That's right.
But the biggest thing that would have got them interested is baseball, which was the biggest. That is America. So if you use China, their big craze even today is American basketball. The Japanese is still American baseball, just like it was.
Yeah.
That's why I always say San Francisco is about baseball.
Baseball. He has a lot of baseball references in a lot of them, but it's a good way to differentiate what state it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
they would have been
teams.
They would have been. But see, the Japanese. The Japanese are smart. They're very business savvy, and they have been for decades. It's
a universal theme.
Learn English.
Yeah, it's a universal theme. Everybody would have known in the '81 who the baseball teams were. Mostly.
Look at this real quick. This is on the West Coast sleeve. What do you see? That's an ace. That's who would in their right mind would draw an art like that. That's an ace, and that's a triangle. Again, ace and a triangle, and you see this stuff over and over again. It's not a coincidence. Aces and triangles.
It's 3 points.
You see this stuff over and over again.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle, the Alaskan Triangle. It's a 3-point of reference. You have the painting, you have the verse, you have what you find in the book, and they all attached to one thing. San Francisco is a sports puzzle. Somebody go dig that up.
And if you get
it over with.
You look at this art here on this guy, and what are they doing? There's a line that runs along.
Yep. You see the skateboard. Skateboard invented in California.
Yeah, California, and it's one of the fads.
Camera has a connection to San Francisco.
Passing Fancies is about fads, and it's about California. Right. And what are they passing as they go up in a spiral in Coit Tower? They pass right by a water fountain. They are passing Fancies. I mean, I don't know.
I like the Coit Tower reference because I'm in that area, so that sounds good to me.
Coit Tower is part of it because that was in Dirty Harry's.
All right, now Mark would disagree. Mark says it's over where? On the Golden Gate Bridge? How is that even possible?
He went the wrong way. He went west when he should have gone east. Here's Ace. This is Ace's High. And this is a giant pole. It's called Coit Tower. I mean,
yeah. It is. It's in the thing.
Looking out the window, Coit Tower. Look at the shape of the window. Look what's out there, Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
You see it at the beginning and you see it at the end. You see it in the art. You see there's the same shape and there's bars on the window.
Where he made the mistake is like you must see Alcatraz. I don't know why he thinks you must see something.
The bars is part, but that's part of Alcatraz. All right, we're at the 3 hour. We're gonna have to go ahead and cut this off here. But appreciate you guys being on the podcast. We'll
anytime
probably just do one a month, but everyone's going to be on Sunday, 8:00.
Okay,
as many people joined as I thought they were joined. But as for myself and Chuck Knapp and Douglas, we bid everyone farewell.
And remember, don't dig in San Francisco in a federal area, which Coit Tower is now a federal area. It was a city park until 2008, I believe. So
they're getting smart.
We'll go to jail.
People dug that crap up. You know it.
No overlays.
I'm kind of with you on that one. Except for that one. It's so close. I kind of
don't do it. Don't do it.
And if you dig a hole, fill it in.
You don't need it. It sounds good already.
Yeah. If you dig a hole, just put a note in there and say, I didn't find nothing. So the next person digs a hole in. Well, damn, I found a note. All right, guys. All right. Talk to y'all soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
It's been fun. Take care.
Bye.